Be a girl with a mind, a woman with attitude, and a lady with class. To commemorate the International Women's Day this year, Edewor, the host of the Afrocentrist podcast, presents the Becoming Summit. 3 days of knowledge sharing, bringing women from all over the world. Over 10 speakers from over 4 countries. Theme: Becoming Women in Leadership. Date: March 19th to 21st, 2021. Time: 1 to 3 p.m. GMT +4 on 19th and 20th, and 6 to 9 p.m. GMT +4 on day 3, which is 21st, 2021. Attendance is free, but registration is required. Register today by visiting bit.ly/TB Summit. The Becoming Summit. Becoming Women in Leadership.
I am becoming a stronger woman. I am becoming an empowered woman. I am becoming an influential woman. I am becoming a woman of outstanding success. The Becoming Summit for every woman who chooses to challenge herself to be extraordinary. Friday, March 19th to Sunday, March 21st. Learn to lead, take initiative, innovate, and be more.
Be a girl with a mind, a woman with attitude, and a lady with class. To commemorate the International Women's Day this year, Edewor, the host of the Afrocentrist podcast, presents the Becoming Summit. 3 days of knowledge sharing, bringing women from all over the world. Over 10 speakers from over 4 countries. Theme: Becoming Women in Leadership. Date: March 19th to 21st, 2021. Time: 1 to 3 p.m. GMT +4 on 19th and 20th, and 6 to 9 p.m. GMT +4 on day 3, which is 21st, 2021. Attendance is free, but registration is required. Register today by visiting bit.ly/TB Summit. The Becoming Summit. Becoming Women in Leadership.
I am becoming a stronger woman. I am becoming an empowered woman. I am becoming an influential woman. I am becoming a woman of outstanding success. The Becoming Summit for every woman who chooses to challenge herself to be extraordinary. Friday, March 19th to Sunday, March 21st. Learn to lead, take initiative, innovate, and be more.
Be a girl with a mind, a woman with attitude, and a lady with class. To commemorate the International Women's Day this year, Edewor, the host of the Afrocentrist podcast, presents the Becoming Summit. 3 days of knowledge sharing, bringing women from all over the world. Over 10 speakers from over 4 countries. Theme: Becoming Women in Leadership. Date: March 19th to 21st, 2021. Time: 1 to 3 p.m. GMT +4 on 19th and 20th, and 6 to 9 p.m. GMT +4 on day 3, which is 21st, 2021. Attendance is free, but registration is required. Register today by visiting bit.ly/TB Summit. The Becoming Summit. Becoming Women in Leadership.
Here is a special dedication to everyone who has a vision and is going through things that make you think you won't get there. This song is for you. When I look into the world, I see my dream lane, but it's far from me now, and it's getting farther. Many have gone through this lane. They have stories to tell. Some are good and some are bad, but I've made up my mind that my story will be pleasant and pleasing to hear. Though it's wrong, I am tough, and I know I will make it. I will get there some way, someday, somehow. I've made up my mind. Sitting there in the morning, right in front of the mirror, wondering if I'll ever make it, 'cause of things happening around me. And then I heard this little voice say to me, my child, you're going to make it. And then it dawned on me that I am made for the top. So no matter what it takes, for this journey. I will get there someday, some way, somehow. Oh, yeah. I will get there someday, some way, somehow. I've made up my mind.
Be a girl with a mind, a woman with attitude, and a lady with class. To commemorate the International Women's Day this year, Edewor, the host of the Afrocentrist podcast, presents the Becoming Summit. 3 days of knowledge sharing, bringing women from all over the world. Over 10 speakers from over 4 countries. Theme, Becoming Women in Leadership. Date, March 19th to 21st, 2021. Time, 1 to 3 p.m. GMT +4 on 19th and 20th, and 6 to 9 p.m. GMT +4 on day 3, which is 21st, 2021. Attendance is free, but registration is required. Register today by visiting bit.ly/TB Summit. The Becoming Summit. Becoming Women in Leadership. is happy that we are live on day 2. Yes. I cannot see anybody in the comment section yet. Where are my people? Where are my people? Can I see the comments running in? I only see one comment. Where is everybody? Can I see your comments, whether you're connecting from Facebook or you're connecting from YouTube? Can I see your comment? Woo, woo, woo. Okay, so I see the safety chick. Yes, sis. Oh yeah. I'm so excited. Okay, so for some reason, yes, okay, I see it now. I see the comments coming in from YouTube, from Facebook. Esther says, I'm happy. Safety chick, I love you, sis. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Esther says, I'm happy. I am happy too, Esther. Thank you for being here. Wow. How are you doing? Was yesterday late or what? It was such an amazing time we had on the Becoming Summit yesterday with all the speakers giving and dishing value back to back. It's just amazing. Whoa, yes, you can, you know what I'm saying? I got all the energy, right? So I'm here today with all my energy. I'm going to be hosting today's sessions, and together with my guest speakers, we're going to be blowing your mind. So right now, I want you to get ready, prepare, take a learning posture, right? Because man, I just want to start to talk about the testimonials that came in yesterday. I'm still like, oh my God, how did this happen? It can only be God, yes? So I'm just so excited, and I can't wait to share some of the testimonials with you. Like, somebody was literally in my inbox yesterday, in my WhatsApp, like, girl, thank you for putting this together. I found my purpose. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, sister. Right. So please don't take this lightly at all. Like I said yesterday, you might not have paid in cash to be on this summit, but what you are paying to be here is your attention. So please ensure that you pay well. Pay attention very well to every word that our speakers are going to be saying, to everything that they are going to be sharing with us today. Thank you. I see you, Obiora. Oh my goodness. I see you, Richard. I see you all the way. Like, as you're coming in as well, just tell me where you're connecting from, whether Nigeria, Australia, Zanzibar. That's a dream place for me. I want to go to, right? Wherever you are, from the UK, from Houston, Texas, from the US, from anywhere in the world, please just type in the comment section. I'm connecting from Lagos. I'm connecting from Magodo. I'm connecting from Abakaliki. Wherever it is, be proud of where you are at and be connected this morning, and afternoon, wherever you are, depending on where you are. For some people, it's like super early. Like, I'm just so blessed. One of our speakers is connecting all the way from Houston, Texas, and it's right now it's like 4:30 a.m., like 4 a.m. That's like love. That's pure love. So I am just so excited. I see you, Alarunke. Thank you for joining. I see you, Rahima from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you for joining. Ooh, Alarunke says from Ilorin, Nigeria. Interesting. I thought you were in Lagos. Thank you for joining, Alarunke. Hey, my soul sister is here representing the crafts community. Hi, thank you for joining. Brenda, my soul sister, thank you for joining all the way from the UAE. I see you, girl. Thank you. Okay, so like we already know, yesterday we talked about community, and I hope that you were able to pick something very, very valuable. All the connecting from Nigeria, Lagos. Thank you, Lagos, Nigeria. Crafter says from Ogun State, Nigeria. Thank you so much for connecting. And so you see, yesterday we talked about community. And if you go on, the Becoming Summit page on Instagram, you see some of the nuggets that we shared. The video is still up on YouTube, so you can go watch it again. Like, all our speakers came with all of their best, and I'm just so grateful. And thank you also for tuning in, for being a part of the summit, and sharing your nuggets as well in the comment section. I want to encourage you to do the same today. Share your nuggets as it's dropping from what the speakers are going to be sharing. Just ensure that you're sharing and just kind of
talking about it and saying this is wow, reiterate what they are talking about, because you know that because they can't see you, right? Your comment is what kind of lets them know that you're following what they're saying. So please bring it in the comment section and let us have an amazing time today. Okay, so today we are looking at the literary space. I am a believer of storytelling, right? Whether you're telling a story with your business, you're telling a story with your platforms, we are storytellers. Like what we're doing here today is telling stories. Look at yesterday when Kai shared her own story. I had a lot of feedback coming in that Kai's session spoke to them because she came from telling her personal story and engrafting that into the message that she had to share. Okay, so please know that today we're talking about literary leaders. All our leaders today, all our speakers today are anointed. Let me put it like that. They are anointed writers. They are great storytellers, and they've written books and they are bestsellers. And so they're bringing that on to share with us on different topics, right? So I'm just so excited today, right? I'm so excited for day 2, because I know we're going to be getting a lot of value jumping at us. So, but before we go in today, because I'm going to be introducing our first guest pretty soon, they're sitting pretty. Our guests are already in, our speakers are already in, sitting pretty in the studio. So, but before we go into day 2, tell me one thing that jumped at you the most from day 1 that you're like, wow, this was so good, right? Tell me, I want to see it. I want to see it in the comment section. Let's share so that people who are joining, who were not here yesterday but are here now, can also gain some insights. What was one of the things that, if we were here yesterday, what was one of the things that spoke to you the most? Let me see those in the comment section. I'm counting on you, people. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Right, yeah. Brenda Eleblu says values and testimonies. What else? What else? Please, let's share, because we're bringing our first guest for today in a short time. Okay, so I think, okay, some of the messages are coming in late. Somebody said, Brenda says, I discovered my passion. It was just so amazing. Yes, girl, I celebrate you. I'm just so super happy for you. Ijoma says that Kai's session blew my mind. I can relate absolutely. Like, your gifts are not for you. It's for the world. So, girl, stop holding it. Stop sitting on it. Stop second guessing it. Stop, saying I'm not good enough, okay? Go for it. If you need to train someone, go for trainings and then unleash your gifts to the world, right? Ronke says the tips for collaboration was awesome. Fantastic. I love that. Yes, so we're not here to compete. We're here to co-pete. We're here to support each other. Fantastic. Ijoma says, I am just enough. Exactly, just the way you are. Like, God created you complete. You are complete already, right? So you are enough. Thank you. And some of the brothers in the house, I love you guys. Thank you for joining in. Manny says day 1 was a blast. You can say that again. And so let me just quickly. Yes, Manny says networking effortlessly spoke the most to us to each other. So networking spoke to him, and then Ijoma says that indeed you are more than enough. Yes, Brenda is reiterating what IJ says. She is more than enough. I'm just looking back end here to kind of get my studio ready. For some reason, I think I closed one of my files that I'm supposed to use today. But while I'm checking on that, keep your comments coming, because we are going to be introducing our first guest in a moment. And please, yes, while you're here, kindly share the link. If you're on YouTube, please share the YouTube link to your friends to join us. If you're on Facebook as well, please share on your Facebook wall so that more people can join us and get value, because the value today is going to be bumper to bumper. I kid you not. Okay. Okay, so I'm having a challenge with getting one of the one of my files ready. Okay, finding your voice. Okay, are we ready? Are we ready? If we're ready, let me see that in the comment section. Say, I am ready. Interesting. So I actually don't do that. If you're ready in the comment section, say, I am ready. Okay, fantastic. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah. Yes, we're good. Okay. Who says I'm ready? I can't see the I'm readies. Are we not ready? Should we just say, should we go? Should we go home? Yes. Okay, so I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Oh, fantastic. Oh, okay, so we are sorry about that. So for the people on Telegram, they have the wrong info. So we're going to say this is the correct file. Thank you so much, sis, for pointing that out. So yes, let me see. I'm ready. I see. Yes, we are ready. Brenda says I'm ready. Esther says I'm super ready. Brenda says I'm super ready. Esther says I'm ready. Ijoma says ready. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to bring forward our first speaker, Frances Williams, all the way from the UK, and she's going to be talking about finding your voice. Stay tuned.
Frances Mensah Williams, CBE. In 2015, Frances's acclaimed first novel, From Pasta to Pigfoot, was published by Jacaranda Books and selected by W.H. Smith Travel as one of the top 25 of its 100 summer reads. Selected as one of the top 20 inspirational women for the African diaspora in Europe, Frances has received several commendations and awards for entrepreneurship and skills development in Africa and was presented with the 2017 Community Pioneer Awards by the African Diaspora Awards. Frances was awarded a CBE by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in the 2020 New Year's Honours List for service to the African community in the UK and in Africa. Speaking on Finding Your Voice. Welcome, Frances Mensah Williams.
Hello.
Good morning.
So good to have you here.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you. You know,
Thank
it's
you,
9
too.
o'clock in the morning, 9:15 in the morning here in London. But I'm up and I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yes, we are ready for you too. And we can't wait.
I'm ready. So good to see everybody. Oh, so
Thank you
good. How are you,
much.
Edewor?
I'm doing amazing. Like I'm so pumped up and I'm like excited.
Fabulous. So am I. So am I. So am I.
Awesome,
Such a pleasure to
awesome.
be here. So you are going to
Fantastic.
take care of my slides for me.
Yes, please. Yes, please. And I'm going to leave you. So guys, pick your pen and your paper and let's dive into this first session.
Hi, hello everyone. I am so honored, such a pleasure to be here this morning. And I'm kicking off today, so please join me, stay with me, and thank you so much for being part of this opportunity to share so much. And it's great to meet you all too. So my topic is finding your voice. Finding your voice. Now, I have to ask, but first of all, let me just maybe say, you know, I've lived a very interesting life. I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people, everyday people, people who've done so many amazing things. And I wanted to use this session to focus on what I've learned and what I think is one of the most valuable things that I can share is finding your voice, what you have to say. And, you know, for me, it's something that I've had to discover through my life over time. but it's something that I think is so important to us, particularly those of us that are women on this call, because I think so many of us struggle to get our voices out. So when do we first start to find our voices? Ezra, can I go to the next slide, please? So when we're born, we scream when they pull us out to announce our presence, right? We know we're here. We let the world know we're here. Our voices are loud. We're chatty as we're kids. We're loud. We're confident. No one gets in our way. Everybody thinks, oh, look at that. She's speaking. Isn't that wonderful? And so we're encouraged. We're allowed to find our voice. We're allowed to use our voice. But then things change. Next slide, please. How do we go from that to this? Because as we grow older, as we move away from being the cute baby that everyone says, oh, listen to her, and we become the inquisitive teenager, we become the questioning adolescent, we start being told to be quiet, don't we? We start being told, shush, don't contradict your elders, even when they're wrong, right? Shh, to submit our voices to others who are older than us, who are wiser than us, who are more expert than us. And so slowly we begin to become silenced. You know, when we're young women, particularly, the gendered nature of some of these criticisms teach us to lower our voices so that we're not labeled as nagging or loud or aggressive, domineering. In other words, we're told to shut up, right? And we go from that chatty young child to being told, shush. Personally, I was fortunate. I grew up in a house with a father who was a lawyer. He loved debate, maybe a bit too much. So I was comfortable using my voice. I was able to discuss. I had to come with evidence if I was going to contradict. I had to say, well, why is that? And I was encouraged to do that. But, you know, we don't all come from those kinds of environments. And even when you do, even when you grow up in a home that is supportive, that says, use your voice, it's not the same when you have to go to the other spaces that you have to occupy. When you have to find your voice as you go through education, as you go through work, it can be a struggle. And, you know, we have to own that. But the honest truth is that if we want to be our full selves, if we want to be authentic, we need to find our own voices. And we need to let those voices speak. Can we go to the next slide, please? So one of the things that I do in my career, and I do a number of different things, but one of the things that I do is I'm a coach. So I work with my clients to help them find their way through sometimes challenges of their own doing, sometimes challenges around them, to reach their goals, whether it's career goals or personal goals. And I coach a lot of women. And when it comes to women in particular, I do meet a lot of women who are afraid to use their voices for the reasons that I was talking about before. You know, they're afraid to use their voices at work. They're afraid to use their voices at home. They're afraid to use their voices to correct people who have it wrong about them or about other people. They're afraid to use their voices to champion what they see is going wrong in their communities. And so it becomes a challenge for us, and particularly as women, to really get our voices out and to own them and to feel comfortable doing it and to do what's right, because it's not something we are supported to do. But without a voice, we cannot plan. We can't inspire. We're here today to look at how we become the fullness of who we are. Without our voice, we can't be that full person. We can't influence other people. We can't make an impact on our community, in our companies, in our world, even in our families, if we don't find our voices. Without our voices, we can't take charge of our own hopes, our own aspirations. We can't become accountable for our own success. So how do we find that voice? Now, it's a short session, so I'm going to maybe offer 3 pieces of advice when it comes to finding your voice. And the first one I would say is really think about why your voice is not coming out. Because sometimes with the people that I work with, it's because they're not prepared. So sometimes people I coach will suppress their voices because they're not clear how to use their voice. They're not clear what they want to say. They're not prepared. So whether it's at work, whether it's in environments where you have to use your voice, come prepared. When you've done your research, whether it's at work, whether it's in some of the other things you're involved in, when you know what you are talking about, you will have that confidence to speak up in meetings. At work, you'll be able to make yourself more visible because you will have prepared, you'll have done your research, and you'll be able to make an impact. At one point in my life, I went into a career in human resources. And when I reached the top level of my career, I was a human resources director. I found myself as the only woman. And this was in Ghana. This was, and again, in an African context, many of you here are dialing in from Africa. I was the only woman on the executive committee of my bank. And we all know the negative stereotypes when women get into leadership, right? We're strident, we're bossy, we're this, we're that. But the lesson is here, you have to overcome those negative stereotypes. You have to push past them. If you are prepared and you know what you're saying, speak up. Own your voice. Don't be intimidated. Don't be put off. If you are prepared, speak up and be in the room. When you have earned the right to be in that room, own that right. Don't give it away. The second piece of advice I would give you is to surround yourself with the right people, right? Push aside this imposter syndrome that we are all so at risk of assuming. This idea that I don't deserve my success, or someone's going to find me out soon, or everyone seems to be better than I am at what they're doing. Forget that. That's negative self-talk. And the way to get around that, one of those big ways to get around that, is to surround yourself with people who reinforce how great you are. So often the women that I work with undersell themselves. They don't go for promotion. They don't go for greater responsibility. They think they can do it, but they're afraid they can't. And they let the fear rule. But if you let fear rule, you are going to live paralyzed. You can't move if you're immobilized by fear. So you've got to put that fear aside. You've got to take away that false modesty, because hiding you is not serving you. It's not serving the world. You've got to use that voice and take that confidence. And that voice has to be positive. So if you're struggling, look around you. Who are you surrounding yourselves with? Yesterday, we heard from Helen Tucker about the importance of networking. Create your network, join networks. The network Women Talk, which has been so valuable in connecting me to Edewor, for example, is a huge network of women who support each other. You can find women's networks online. You can find them on WhatsApp. You can find them on LinkedIn. You can find them around you. Choose your friends wisely. And ask for help. Ask for feedback. Have your network reinforce the things you are good at, so you don't come from a place of fear. You come from a place of confidence. The third thing is find your purpose. When you know your bigger purpose, and someone said earlier at the start, they found their purpose yesterday. Because when you know your bigger purpose, that knowledge gives you the confidence to use your voice in service of that purpose. Today, we're talking about storytelling. You have to be ready to tell your own story, because if you don't tell your story, other people will tell your story, and you're not going to like the story they tell. So tell your story so that you can own that story and what it goes for. Next slide, please, Edewor. So when I found my purpose was when I could really bring my voice out. I'd used my voice in my professional career, but when I became a fully fledged writer, it was because my purpose had become clear and I could create books, whether it was nonfiction or fiction, to use that voice in service. So for me, my purpose that I really discovered was I wanted to change the narrative about Africa and Africans. Living as an African in the UK, it was for me important that I show other people, non-Africans, that, hey, you know, we're just the same. We have the same dreams and hopes and aspirations as you. And the negative stereotype of Africa is not the only story of Africa by any means whatsoever. So I use my voice today. I use my voice in writing. I write books like the ones you see here, where it's about sharing knowledge. I want to work in Africa. People who are looking for a chance to take their career to Africa, there's advice here for you. Even if you already work in Africa or work anywhere around the world, the book is packed with advice to help you think about how you articulate your skills, how you network, how you go for interviews, how you write good CVs. And I wanted this to be a book that was really reflective of our experiences. The other book, Everyday Heroes, is a collection of interviews with 16 Black professionals. And again, I asked them in the book to tell us the lessons they have learned for leadership and their own success. Because again, I wanted to make sure that we had a different story to tell. For the past 2 decades, most of my job, my work, I set up my own business almost 20 years ago, has been spent working on a number of projects across Africa and indeed outside Africa. Most of these have been around skills development and capacity building. And as part of that, I've led a lot of projects. I've worked with governments, non-governmental partners. I've worked with private companies. I've also used my skills to create my own communication platform, reconnectafrica.com. It's a platform that's free to access, lots of useful information on careers and professional development. And it gives Africans around the world an opportunity to connect with each other and to connect with the best opportunities across our continent. So this is something that I have spent my time and my life doing. And I also realized that I had other stories to tell, stories that I could create myself. And next slide, please, Edewor. Thank you. And again, I used fiction this time to tell the story of Africans, people of African descent who live in Europe, who live in London, who live wherever. Again, to show that we are more than a single story. You'll see there the covers of the books that I've written. And these are stories that I wrote because I wanted to show the everydayness of our lives as Africans, to take away this idea that we're some kind of exotic creature, where we're sitting there waiting for people to help us, we're holding out our hands in despair. No, I wanted to tell the stories of us as everyday people who get up every morning, who take care of our families, who go to work, who fight with our siblings, who fight with our parents, who struggle with our bosses, but just to show we are more than that story that is often portrayed of us. So I'm a woman and I have a woman's experience of life. And so my stories are generally about women. It's generally novels about women who are discovering themselves. And these are contemporary stories. They're written in a light-hearted way. They're funny, but they also tackle serious subjects. But they do it in a way that I hope, and from what my readers say, is really readable and allows them to connect and really feel that relatability with themselves. So these are stories about, as I said, women, the men in their lives, their relationships, not only their romantic relationships, but their relationships with themselves, how they develop, how they learn to find their voices, how they learn to grow, to develop as people, as rounded people. And in the telling those stories to showcase Africa. I'm from Ghana. So for me, Ghana is a very real and very great setting for a lot of these stories. So I have full-length novels such as Imperfect Arrangements, you see there, which came out last year. And in Imperfect Arrangements, it's a story about three best friends and the relationships that they have with each other as friends, but also their romantic partners. And it's looking at this clash between culture and relationships in today's Africa, in our contemporary world. How do we deal with these challenges? And how do we grow? And as women, how do we own our voices? And in Imperfect Arrangements, I also look at it from the men's perspective. So the men on the call, I also want to try and tell your stories a little bit as well. You'll see on the right, River Wild and Sweet Mercy. Now, these are shorter novellas, so they're very quick to read, 150 pages odd. And again, these are standalone stories about individual women. River is the character in River Wild, and Mercy is the character in Sweet Mercy. And as you see, the covers are just lush. I love those covers. And I hope you will find that the content is also lush. I had a reader who emailed me last week to say, thank you. She said, I was up half the night reading Imperfect Arrangements. I'd read your other books and I was so excited, and I didn't get to sleep because I wanted to finish this book. I couldn't put it down. And you can, I tell you, as a writer, when you hear this, it's wonderful. It's music to my ears. And then she said, you really create Black love. You really show it. And she said, your books have just created hope and happiness for me. And I can tell you, those words are so powerful when you are telling stories and people see hope and they see happiness. And so that's my intention, to create hope, to create happiness, to showcase our lives, ourselves as whole, rounded women and people of African descent and African origin. So these stories, I hope, will speak to those of you with that background so that you really feel represented. You really feel that your voices are also being articulated in literature, because too often our voices are not, right? Stories are told about us by other people, or they're not told about us at all. And we just don't count. We read stories with lots of white heroes and heroines, and we think, okay, we'll just relate to that. But we don't have as many stories about us that represent us, especially stories that are fun, that are contemporary. So this is how I have used my voice. And this is how I will continue to use my voice, sharing knowledge, making sure that through my fiction and my nonfiction, I'm able to continue to change the negative narrative and really tell a story that shows us in all our beauty and in all our glory. So as I come to close, let me just say this. Owning your voice and finding your voice, it's not easy, right? It really is not easy. Too often, and especially as women, our voices are dismissed, they're diminished, they're disregarded, they're disbelieved. You know, our truth often creates this defensive knee-jerk reaction. That can't possibly be true. You didn't suffer like that. What do you mean about racism? We don't see racism. No, you're making this up. This is on you. You're not the person that we want to believe. And it's hard. When you want to find your voice and tell your truth, it's hard when people automatically choose to disbelieve you because you don't come looking like them. And what you have to say makes them uncomfortable. And even if it's true, it's difficult for them to face. But we have to persist, and we have to support other women when they do that. I always say there is a special place in heaven for women who support other women. So the same compassion we want for ourselves as we tell our truths, as we tell our stories, let's show to other women as they tell their truths and they tell their stories. Only one person can be in a pair of shoes at any time. No one can be in your shoes except for you, and you can't be in anyone else's shoes except for them. So what they say is their truth. And we should support that as we would want people to support our truth. So with that said, I wish you a fantastic summit. I hope you will enjoy all the talks you're going to be hearing from the other literary leaders coming up today. It's been such a pleasure, such an honor to be part of today's session. And I wish you the courage, the strength to find your voices. Thank you for listening.
Wow, look at me smiling from ears to ear, like, oh my God, this is so good. Guys, what do you think? What do you want to say to Frances before she leaves the stage? What do you want to say to Frances before she, did you see all the comments coming in? Like, amazing. Find your voice. Find your voice. If you don't tell your stories, others will tell it for you, and you might not like what they say. You might not like what they say, so tell your story. I love the analogy of how we started as young kids when we were free to say, to lend our voice, to say what comes to us. And then as we grew up, we were shushed. Why? Whew. But thank God that now we know that we can gain our voice again. You can find your voice again. What is that reason? Why do you think you can't say something where people are saying something? Is it because you don't know enough? What do you need to do? What actions do you need to take to ensure that you know what you're talking about and you are able to come out and speak and lend your voice to your society, to your community? Just find your voice. I love the last part that says there's a special place in heaven for women who support other women. That's so fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And you are in that place. You're in that place, Edirin. You are in that place. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Lovely comments coming through. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing your takeaways. I love it. Okay, so Frances is going to be backstage, and then we're going to bring up our other guests. And then once we do that, at the end, we're going to have a panel session. So please jot down your questions. Don't type it in the comment section so that it doesn't get missing in all of the comments that will be coming along. So please just jot them down so that once the panel session commences, you can then type your question and we can pick it on the screen and answer those questions. Thank you so much. Keep the comments coming. Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much, Frances. Like, I'm so grateful. Thank you for being up so early on a Saturday morning when you could be chilling under the duvet. You are here to share with us. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
See
Okay.
you later.
All right, ma'am. Fantastic. Was that awesome or what? Thank you. I see all your comments. God bless you. Real good. Without wasting time, I want to bring on stage my next speaker. Oh, it's been a blessing knowing this next speaker back to back. Like, it felt like, when we met, it felt like God has been preparing both of us for a particular time, and this is just the time, and I'm just so happy. It's an honor. It's an honor to have you on this platform, and I do not take it for granted at all. Thank you. All my speakers are just amazing. Like, this can be love. You remember that? What's that song? Hey God, hey, what's that song? Yeah. I'm a reggae person. Bob Marley says, could it be love and be loved? Yeah, I feel loved. Anyways, taking it further to the next speaker, who's going to be talking about repurposing your content for global opportunities. You want to you want to loud your volume. I know what I'm saying. Loud your volume, get your pen and paper, and sit into this one, because our next speaker, she's very soft-spoken. So if you don't catch it, you're your own. No. Maybe because of you, I'll just gonna hide this replay so that I can pay for it. But I won't do that. I love you too much. Okay. So let me bring on board the next speaker. Oh, I see all the comments. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I love you guys. Okay, so let me bring on our next speaker.
Edewor is a multiple Amazon best-selling author, an award-winning entrepreneur, international speaker, coach, principal consultant, and founder at Edewor Solutions with footprints across Africa and the UAE. She is a foremost thought leader on mindset and business strategy for entrepreneurs and online publishing for personal and business brands. She is the founder of the Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network, OPEN, a community of over 29,000 authors, writers, and entrepreneurs, helping them become published as well as profiting from their skills using new media. To date, she has helped over 1,005 authors get published online and in print, with more than 200 Amazon bestsellers emerging. Edewor has won many awards, including the Skill Up Africa Hero Awards 2019, Ladies of Honor Awards for Leadership 2019, and Iconic Brand Award for Young Personality of the Year 2019. In 2019, she was nominated for the Future Awards Prize for New Media. She is also listed as one of Nigeria's top 100 influential young Nigerians by Avance Media and Why Nigeria's Most Powerful Persons in Media Under 40. Speaking on repurposing content for global opportunities. Welcome, Edewor.
Hey, look at you looking so, what would I say? That neighbor was all the adjectives are run away. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching from. Thank you so much for having me.
I see the people. I see the goons from Open. See them. Che, VC is here. We know you. We know you when we see you. You're welcome, VC. Thank you so much. So VC is what we call Edewor on her group, which is for online entrepreneurs and publishers. It's a group on Facebook. If you want to be a part of that, you can also just jump in there. Just go and check for OPE Network on Facebook and be a part of that. So what we call her on that group is VC. She's our Vice Chancellor. All right, sis, take it away. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Edewor. Thank you also everybody who signed up and joined in. We're going to have a fantastic time today. I just want to first of all say a huge shout out to Miss Frances who came before me. I mean, her session was just amazing, so amazing, and I love her energy, and I like that I don't have to try to match Ejiro's energy because I have somebody who's basically just as soft-spoken, if not even more soft-spoken than me, coming up before me. And I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, your books are fantastic, Miss Frances, and I look forward to reading even more of them. And thank you as well for basically doing half of my work for me. A lot of the things that I would have shared if you hadn't come before me, you've already shared them already, which is about finding your voice and telling your own story. As a young woman who's basically just 30 years old, currently now living in the UAE, but basically lived all my life in Nigeria, and having to go through all of the challenges of being silenced and having your voice not necessarily being heard, but also being ignored, based on the kind of industry that you come from, and then fighting and really fighting so hard to get a seat at the table. And many times you don't even get a seat at the table, and so you have to walk away, and you have two options. It's either you walk away and feel sorry for yourself, or you go and build your own table and invite other people who are worthy to also be on your table as well. And I decided to choose the latter when I created what is called the Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network. That was me building my table. That was me speaking out and using my voice to actually make a difference for a lot of people, especially a lot of young people in Africa. And today I'm very, very happy to say that my message and my community has spread to over 100 countries in just under 4 years. And we have over 33,000 members in the community right now. It's been growing really big and really fast. And it's just been such a rewarding experience to be a woman, and a woman in leadership in the space that I belong to, not just in the literary space, but also in the space of new media as well. And using the tools and the technology at my disposal to be able to reach a lot of people and actually build a global community, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. The topic is on repurposing content for global opportunities. And Ms. Frances has already shared on the kind of content you can create and how to tell your own story. She's done an amazing work telling our African stories using books, whether both in fiction and in non-fiction. And today I'm going to actually show you how you can also do that. And you can also become a globally recognized voice as well. I'm grateful that I've been able to write and publish over 6 books, all of them non-fiction books, and most of them are actually on platforms like Amazon, and every single one of them on Amazon have become bestsellers. In fact, we've become bestsellers so many times we stopped counting. So we just say multiple Amazon bestseller. The interesting thing about this is that before I started talking about becoming an Amazon bestseller and self-publishing your own books by yourself and taking this message mainstream, not a lot of people talked about it. Prior to 2017, when I wrote my second book, The A to Z of ebook publishing, and that book was basically teaching Africans how they can also get their books published on Amazon and become bestsellers as well. There was hardly anybody talking about that. When I started talking about the fact that everybody has a book in them, I got a lot of stick. That was me using my voice to say, hey, whatever it is that your background is, whatever you come from, wherever you come from, there is something inside of you, there is a voice inside of you that you can share, and you can use the medium of books and writing your own books and telling your own stories using books. And I got a lot of stick, especially from the literary community. You know, people who were traditional publishers or people who were traditional authors, in the sense of the fact that they actually publish with traditional publishing houses. You know, they all came for me, basically. They came for me and dragged me by my edges. And another thing I learned about when trying to use your voice is knowing your battles and knowing which ones to pick and fight. I've always been a very calm person, always been very reserved, always been the one to just avoid any kind of confrontation. And so I learned very early in life that the best way to shut down confrontations and to shut down naysayers is to come with results and come correct. And that's what I'm going to tell you to do today. You're going to tell your story and you're going to receive a lot of flack for it. You're going to receive a lot of stick, a lot of hate, like Frances said, from a lot of people who your story makes them uncomfortable. From a lot of people who your story shines the light on the things that they perceive as normal, which your story has shown that it's probably not normal. Things like racism, things like sexism, things like misogyny, and so on and so forth. And even feminism, you know, and people are going to make you feel like you don't deserve to have your voice heard. People are going to make you feel like you have to follow a mainstream traditional way of doing things for you to actually get a seat at their table. And you're going to speak either way, or you're going to tell your story either way, and you're going to break all the tables and shatter all the ceilings and shatter all the norms and narratives. And you're going to build your own table. The reason why we talk about the becoming and women in leadership, and I really love the topic for the International Women's Day this year, is that we are tired of being the followers. We are tired of being the ground members. We are tired of being the ones where we get to be invited just because they want to fill their inclusion quota, just because they want to fill their diversity quota. We are the ones that should be making the tables. We are the ones that should be coming out with our own rules. We are the ones that should be coming out and saying, hey, this is who we are and this is how we want to be treated and this is exactly how loud we are going to speak. And the way you're going to do that is by telling your story, not just telling your story to people who have heard it a million times before, people who seem to have the same story as you, aka publishing locally and talking to the local audience and having a house fellowship kind of leadership, but going on the global stage and speaking loud. Every single person who's on this panel, I can see my dear friend Ugochi, the safety chick here, who's also doing the same thing as well. Ugochi started sharing her message and decided to go forward and go global with her message. Whether it's from Yali to the Mandela Washington Fellowship to all the safety platforms that she's been on, to writing her own books and publishing, especially publishing for kids, to creating platforms where kids can actually learn about safety and COVID and all of these things. Women are standing up, Nigerian women, African women are standing up, and we are beginning to create the platforms. We are beginning to take and change the narrative so that it can actually suit us and we can help people who are coming down from under us. So if you're here saying, okay, I have a voice, I know that I have a voice, I want to share my story, I want to write a book, I challenge you to actually go global with it. When I started, a lot of people said, Edirin, why are you publishing on Amazon? You haven't even sold your book in Nigeria to Nigerians first, and you're going to put your book on Amazon. Who do you think you are? I said, I'm just me. I don't have to follow your arbitrary rules. And I don't believe that there is only one way to do things. I believe that going global with my voice while still speaking to the local audience is what's right for me and it's what's best for me. So while people were waiting to conquer local before going global, I started global before coming down to my local stage. And guess what? As somebody whose voice has been pressed and oppressed and tarnished and basically silenced for a very long time, it took the global community listening to me to actually get the local community to eventually start to pay attention. You know, there's a statement that they say a prophet is not recognized in his own town. When he goes out and then gets recognized internationally, then his local people start claiming relationships. And that's exactly what happened. This is one part of my story that I haven't really shared. And I think that this is just the perfect platform to talk about it. You will get a lot of challenges. You will get a lot of stick. You will get a lot of people who will come and tell you that's not how things are normally done. You shouldn't be talking this much. You shouldn't be sharing your message globally. Nobody wants to listen to African stories. If you've been following the trend for the past 5 years or so, you would know that that shift has actually been flipped on its head. When we had Black Panther, we had African stories told on a global stage and smashed world record. It was the first time that a superhero movie or a movie with a black lead basically shattered world box office records, becoming one of the highest grossing movies of all times, even beating the Titanic itself, right? And then we started to see Hollywood starting to take on Nigerian names. We started seeing movies, for example, like Pacific Rim, that had one of us playing it. He was playing a particular role in a huge blockbuster movie, and a Wizkid song was playing in the background at the beginning. We saw a movie, for example, like Captain America Civil War, and the opening scene was in Lagos, Nigeria. Why? We come and we look at movies like Rampage, acted by one of the world's biggest superstars, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and his name was actually David Okoye. He was actually somebody who was adopted by Nigerian parents. Why? Why is it that this Nigerianness and this Africanness has become so mainstream that even a huge platform like Hollywood is beginning to use our names and beginning to use our culture to tell stories? Why is it that a huge global superstar like Beyonce will come and shoot her music videos in Africa? Something is happening. There is a revolution that's happening, and people are not saying that Africa is one of the last platforms or the last frontiers for fresh and original storytelling. And it is left for us to be able to tell that story and direct how that story is supposed to be told. Because if we don't tell our stories and show who we really are to the rest of the world, they will come and tell our stories for us, and they will tell the wrong kind of stories. So it is up to you. It is up to you, and it is up to me to actually go global with our content. If you've been creating content in your very small WhatsApp group, put it on global platforms. If you've been writing and publishing on your own small Google Drive or on your small Okada books, go and publish on Amazon. Put all of your content on platforms like Amazon. Let the world see that Africans can also write and we can also tell our stories as well. See what is happening again with Netflix and with Will and Jada Smith, right? They are now coming to Africa and actually taking our African stories and putting it on these global platforms. The globalization of African stories has already started. I didn't start it. It has already started. Now it's left for us to actually ensure that we actually direct the narrative and make sure we have a voice in how we want our stories to be told. Gone are the times where our stories were erased from history and another narrative was told in place of that. It is time for us to begin to tell our stories, whether you're writing fiction, whether you're writing non-fiction, whether you're talking about business or you're talking about relationships or you're talking about finance or whatever it is you're talking about. Make sure that you're telling our stories on an international platform. I always advocate for getting published on platforms like Amazon because it's basically one of the biggest platforms for self-published authors in the world, if not the biggest itself. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong. But a lot of people go on Amazon to look for book ideas. A lot of people go on Amazon to look for new books and fresh ideas. And our stories are gaining traction. Our African stories are gaining traction. People are honestly tired and bored. with the general narrative. They're looking for things that are fresh, the things that are true, things that actually show our light in the way that we are, our joy the way that it is. So it's there for us to be ambassadors of our own voices, ambassadors of where we come from. And as women, to be able to speak up and to be able to take up leadership positions and help other people as well. The reason why I created Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network was so that I could help other people find their voice and get their voice global, like I have done for myself. Until today, we've been able to work with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We have actually stopped counting. We stopped counting last at about 3,000 published books and over 500 Amazon bestsellers. And we just really stopped counting at that. But I think that if every single one of us who has been able to is able to help other people to do the same thing as well, in no time, the world will begin to notice. You know, one thing that we struggle with on Amazon is the fact that we still don't get direct payments even for our books when we get published, because they still don't recognize our banks. But if a lot of us, if a large number of us can actually get published, we will get to a point where we can no longer be ignored. Our voice will be loud enough that things will actually begin to work. Things will begin to move in our favor, and we'll begin to get the recognition that we know that we deserve. All right. So whatever content that you have, if you've been writing content, if you've been writing blogs, you can put together your blog articles into a book based on subject and topic, and you can actually publish those things on platforms like Amazon. All right. And with the way the world is going, you really don't have to have some sort of template for how many fonts or what type of fonts you should use, or how many chapters your books have to be, or how many words your book have to be. The first book I published was only 19 pages long. The next one that I published was 65 pages long. I only have one book that is over 100 pages long. Every single one of those books have become bestsellers. Every single one of those books have helped me to build my global brand. One of those books was directly responsible for me getting international speaking engagements. One of those books was directly responsible for me getting international opportunities, for getting opportunities to partner with global brands, for getting opportunities to partner with financial institutions, for getting recognitions like awards and all kinds of recognitions basically given onto me, because I was able to do what every other person has done, but made my voice a lot louder and loud on a very, very massive platform, a global platform. So it's something that I believe every one of us needs to think about, and we need to take action on, right? It's enough of the local champion and trying to hide your voice and restrict it to your local environment. It's important that you shout as loud as you can. Tell your truth and tell your stories as loud as you can on the largest platform possible. And if enough of us are able to do so, the world will have no choice but to listen to us. All right. I was excited when I went to the bookstore at the mall in Dubai, and I saw books by Chimamanda sat right next to books by Kamala Harris. It was a very, very proud and very surreal moment for me. And there are so many other books by African authors in these massive platforms. It tells you that our story is needed. Our stories are being sought after. So even if you're feeling like, okay, what if I publish it on these global platforms and no one wants to hear? It's your job to continue to also drive your eyes, to drive attention to your books once you put it there. The fact that you've published on Amazon doesn't mean that you automatically start gaining traction overnight. No. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of marketing. It takes a lot of strategy. It takes a lot of intentionality to be able to drive traffic, to be able to drive eyes, to be able to drive readership onto your books. I'm sure that Miss Frances, for example, didn't just get her books published and then folded her hands. She continues to talk about it. She continues to promote it so more and more people could see. Platforms like this, for example, has helped more and more people to discover her. People who didn't know about her before now know about her. You can now go and get her book. You can now go and tell your friends, oh, this book that I read from this person who I listened to on this platform is really nice, and I think you should get it as well. And that's how words spread, and that's how our stories are told. All right. So I really wish I had a lot more time, but I really don't. But I just want to reiterate everything I have said. Your voice is important. Your voice is needed. And don't do house fellowship kind of noise making. If you're going to make noise, if you're going to use your voice, you might as well use your voice on a global stage. The world is flat nowadays. All right, so you can literally go global from the comfort of your bedroom. One of the ways in which you can do that is by writing your own books, by writing and telling your own stories. And not just telling your own stories, you can actually start seeking for amazing opportunities where you can actually get your stories to be turned into other kinds of content. From your book, from the ideas and the characters in your book, you can create a platform like a podcast or a vlog to talk about the things that your book is about, to talk about the kinds of conversations that your book is about. From there, you can actually even start applying to get your books being converted into animated series or even graphic novels. From there, you can eventually get your book converted into a feature-length movie or even a TV series. It's happening, guys. It is happening. Sorrows of UD by a friend of mine who, Raymond, I think his name is Raymond. His book is now being converted into a feature-length movie. There's a particular Nigerian comic from Unique Studios. The name of the comic is called Malaika. Malaika now has been turned into an animated TV series. All right. Another one of Unique Studio and several other brands as well have been picked up by Disney. These are animated graphic novels, which became animations, TV animations, have now been picked up by Disney to be part of the Disney platform. So who tells you that our African stories are too boring or too dry or too local for the international audience? That's a lie that people are feeding you. And guess what? As long as you're good, as long as you continue to refine your story, as long as you continue to refine your voice and you continue to put it out there, eventually, writing down your visions, writing down your dreams, writing down your goals for yourself, it will eventually turn out good for you. And you will be an ambassador for us to help the rest of us to tell our stories as well. Thank you so much.
Woo, 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 woo. Can I see the fire emoji in the session? In the comment section, please let me see your comments coming in. Let me see your comment coming in. I see the comments. They say your voice is important as your voice is needed. That's so, wow, teacher's coach on point. Your voice is important and your voice is needed. Stop forming local champion. Yes, you can champion in the local space, but also put your eyes to champion in the global space. And I love the fact that you said you broke, protocol and say, no. I'm not going to go the normal route. If everybody is saying, oh, we are going this way, okay, what's going on the other side of the divide, right? And you decided to go the other route to say, no, I don't want to go from local to global. I actually want to go from global to local. And it's so true, especially about Africans. Like, we just love overseas things. We just love overseas things. You will see that somebody will go to school all their lives in Nigeria, and even come out with a first class. And then when it comes to the time of a job, somebody who just came back from the abroad will just get the job because, no, we are global. We are global citizens, even though we are in the local space. So guys, and what better time than now, than the era that we are in, right? For us to even just know that, see, like Edirin said, the world is flat now. You can go global from your bedroom. So stop shutting yourself down. Stop saying, am I good enough? How would you know? How would you know if you are good enough if nobody else has even told you so? At least share. Let people say, what kind of story is this? It's not even interesting. Well, that's feedback. It's not a verdict. It's a feedback. So you go back into your closet and rearrange yourself and say, okay, this person is saying this, why? Look at it objectively and then readjust and then go back again until they say, wow, where did you come from? What kind of story is this? Exactly. But don't shut your mouth. Don't shut it down at all. I know they've told us to shush a lot of time, but it's time to say nope. We are not shushing anymore. We're going to share our stories and we're going to share our African stories, right? I mean, it's one of the things I also do with Mixie Fun Books. Like, I want to share the African stories. And I even want, when the narration is happening, I don't want us to be doing friend. No. Let us say the way how will they talk? The way they talk. Have you seen videos of the Western world actually learning our languages? Like, when I see those videos, I'm ashamed. because it's a shame for me, really. I can't even speak my local dialect. But somebody is out there speaking a Nigerian dialect and they're not even Nigerian. Do you understand? So it's when if you don't loud your noise, and I mean, let's balance it here. There's a difference between making noise. You know, when they say empty barrels make the loudest noise, there's a difference between making noise and making a statement. And I go back to what Frances said when he said, why are you keeping quiet? Why are you not confident about what you want to say? It could just be that you're not well prepared. And there's nothing wrong with that. Every expert today started as an amateur, right? So you can also go back and begin to learn the things that you need to learn to become an expert. But when you become an expert, don't do that that thing that we grew up with, that we think is humility. Humility, that's what I mean. That we think is humility and say, no, it's not. No, you are that. You are all that. You are good. Did you hear what Edirin said? All my books are back-to-back best-selling Amazon. I've even lost count of it. That is not a multiple best-selling Amazon best-selling. Say it. You did it. It's your work. You did it. Be proud of it. If nobody is louding it for you, please carry loudspeaker and loud it for yourself. Thank you so much, VC. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I see all the fire emojis. Woo! Break protocols. Yes. Ellie says, amazing, fantastic. We must share our stories. Well done, Edirin. You're a pioneer. Oh, yes. I agree with that. Blessing says, thank you, ma'am. Temi says, hey, clap, 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 clap. Abigail says, new horizon for African women. Exactly. Tilt the Nation, my sister. She says, from global to local. I love that one. Like, let's not even joke with it. You can go global even while you are local. Don't wait until you travel to the abroad before you start getting opportunities in the abroad. From where you are, get the opportunities. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Edirin will be backstage now. Please go follow at Edirin Edewor on Instagram. Also at Frances. I mean, if you signed up for this event, you should have gotten an email with all their Instagram links so you can follow them. I want you, don't stop here in the comment section. Please type those things, those words that are coming to you, like that is rushing you, all those value and wisdom that is rushing you. Please type it on your Instagram stories, on your WhatsApp stories, but Instagram especially, and tag them so that they can repost. Hey, that's how you network sometimes. So, okay, I'm giving you a if you like, use it. If you like, don't use it. That's how they will know that you attended a summit where they spoke and you got something from them. Post. Follow and then comment in their comment section. Hey, okay. We're not talking about mentorship and value here today, but I'm just giving you expo. Anyways, he that has ear, let him hear what the spirit is talking through Edirin. All right, sis, thank you. So Edirin will be backstage and we'll come back for the panel session once all our speakers are done. Thank you so much. God bless you. Fantastic. That was awesome. Like, I can't even keep up with the comment section. It's just going. They rush me. Value givers like us. And then they rush us. Keep rushing us. I see you. Yes, this is Frances's Instagram handle at Frances Mensah W. Go follow her now. I want to see as you're tagging them, tag me so I can also repost on my story. I want to see that you guys are really getting value. And this was not a paid summit, but this is something you can also use in paying back the speakers for availing their time to be here to share valuable content with you. So please share on your stories and also tag us, tag them, and let us have this going. Thank you, sis. Okay. Without further ado, I'm going to be bringing on my next speaker. Another one of my fire lighters. When I met Eddie, I think somebody introduced me to Ugochi, if I say Ugochi, yeah. And I did one of her stories, a short stories. So what she does is just amazing. It's only God can just give you that kind of expo to just do a thing like that, right? I mean, she's not going to be talking about her brand as safety chick today, but I just felt I want to plug it in there, right? In Nigeria, like, who cares? You would have thought, like, who cares about children, like, as in safety for children. I mean, parents should take care of that. And while she was doing this, she was a hair hostess. I mean, she could have been living large and enjoying her life, flying from one country to the other. But no, she was interested in the kids, in how they understood what safety meant. And she went ahead to create content. She has an app called the Safety Chick app, where she shares content about safety. Throughout the pandemic, she was there dishing out valuable content to parents on how, and to to parents and kids on how they can maneuver the whole pandemic situation. She's just an amazing being. And then she just wrote a book. Oh God. When you follow her on Instagram, please check our story in her bio and go and watch the launch of her book. When I watched that launch, my head was just doing like, what excellence. Before I speak English, we no comment. What excellence. It was so good. And this just goes to show me that, when you are a visionary, it shows in the work that you do. And so I'm pleased and I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker to you in the person of Ugochi Obidiegwu. Enjoy, and then I'll bring her on board.
Ugochi Obidiegwu is a social development strategist with a specialty in creating products, programs, and providing policy advisory on pressing development issues affecting young Africans. Her major work pillars are around ensuring child safety, reducing substance abuse in youth, and providing strategies for social impact initiatives. She is the author of a child safety storybook series available in English and French, co-creator of an online safety game for children, and developer of social impact apps. Ugochi is a 2016 Yali Regional Leadership Center Fellow, 2018 Tony Elumelu Entrepreneur, 2018 Mandela Washington Fellow, and 2018-2019 Regional Advisory Board member of the Fellowship, preferring advice to USAID and IREX on matters concerning the Fellowship. In 2020, she was listed alongside Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Angelique Kidjo, Peace Hyde, and others on the We for Good list of 100 women creating a better Africa in commemoration of International Women's Day. Her work in safety education during the pandemic was featured by the UN OHCHR. Her work has footprints in several countries and both local and foreign media. Ugochi is committed to ensuring that young people become better versions of themselves through her work in social development. Speaking on writing as a problem-solving tool, welcome Ugochi Obidiegwu.
Hey, my sister in the building. Woo-hoo! So good to have you here.
Hi, I've just been laughing in the background, like, gosh, it's so funny. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, please wow us. Thank you. The stage is all yours.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, regardless of your time zone. Please take applicable greeting. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Ejiro for putting this together. And the order in which she has even put everything is just so perfect, because Frances started with finding your voice, Edirin laid upon it with repurposing your content. And now I'm about to talk about writing as a problem-solving tool. So they've just made my work so easy because it's all been layered. So what's going to happen is I'm going to try and use this as many examples, real life examples as possible, so that we can really bring this home. So I know you've learned quite a bit already. I want you to just commit to taking action. Don't just learn and learn and learn. No, I want after now, all the things you have learned, see how you can begin to put it into practice right away. So I'll just introduce myself because I'm going somewhere with that introduction. So a lot of people know me as a safety chick because I started out with trying to raise safety awareness in society. I've currently evolved to becoming a social development strategist because of my big picture and where I am going to. I lead the Train Them Young initiative, where we train children across different countries on how to stay safe in different situations. I convene an annual school safety summit. We've done it for, in fact, we're having our 5th anniversary edition in May. Also, I create social impact apps. So she talked about the Safety Chick Compass, where we put all this amazing safety content so that parents across Africa and teachers can have access to blog articles, podcasts, books, and all they need to know on how to keep their children safe. Also, we have a program called U Program. It's an app, online education for recovered drug users, upskilling them so that they can be reintegrated into society. And now the one that is really beneficial to why we are here today. I'm an author of a child safety storybook series available in English and French, self-published at Amazon. I'm also the author of a personal brand book, How to Build an Internationally Recognizable Personal Brand. I wrote that book leveraging on my experience building the Safety Chick from nothing to international recognition. And of course, the most recent one, which Edewor spoke about, which is God's Own. It's a Christian fiction, again, using story to teach. Why did I give you all this introduction? Because I needed you to see that being an author is not my day job. I have other things I am doing, but writing a book had a way of stamping me as a subject matter expert in my industry. And that is why this topic is really important. I know that some of you, maybe you are not authors, right? And you're thinking, how does this fit in? I want you to begin to see writing as a problem-solving tool that can make the world of difference. If you forget anything I say today, I don't want you to forget this statement, because that is what this whole topic is going to be hinged on. The gravity, the intensity of the problem you solve for others will determine your impact, your influence, and by extension, your income. I'll say that again. The gravity and intensity of the problem you solve for others will determine your impact, your influence, and by extension, your income. If you're going to be someone that is going to be reckoned with in this world, not just in your country of residence, not just in your continent of residence, in the world, you've got to be willing to solve a problem, and you must also be willing to serve. There are different ways to solving a problem. For some people, they will just talk about it. For some others, they will create a solution. And then there are others who will not just create a solution. They will go a step further to document that solution, because they want people outside their immediate sphere of influence to have access to that knowledge. Is writing easy? Well, it might be easy for some people, but it is not easy for everybody. It takes diligence to write, most especially when you're trying to solve a problem. And this is why I'll be using two practical examples of people who did that. So I'm sure a lot of us know the story of Singapore and Lee Kuan Yew, and also a lot of us also know the story of the United Arab Emirates with Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. These two people wrote books, but there are two major ones I'll be highlighting because of the significance to writing as a problem-solving tool. So Lee Kuan Yew wrote this book, From Third World to First World, the Singapore story. And I remember that there was a time in Lagos where the governor was trying to make some changes. And I saw a picture on social media of him reading that book. I was not surprised when a few years later, I began to see certain things in Lagos. Why? Because he read the book of someone who had solved a similar problem in his own location. Also, the story of the UAE. Mohammed Al Maktoum wrote this book, My Vision, Challenges in the Race for Excellence. And so many times people read other people's books, people who have solved similar problems, because it provides a roadmap to solving it in your own sphere. So you will now begin to wonder, so how do you now begin to leverage writing as a problem-solving tool? The first thing I would say is you've got to identify the problem. What problem do you even want to solve? And who are you going to solve this problem for? So maybe there is something in your environment that just makes you uncomfortable. There is something you have solved for others, and you can see how it makes a difference. Or if you are even confused, why don't you think of the SDGs, the global goals? I mean, everybody is trying to solve some aspect of the SDGs. So why don't you plug into something that is bigger than you? So first thing, you've got to identify the problem and who you're going to solve this problem for. The next thing you need to do is you need to take action towards solving that problem. Yes. You can't just identify the problem and go away. You can't just talk about it and go away. You must take action towards solving it. The reason you have to take action is in the course of taking action, you are going to see the things that work, you see the things that do not work, and it gives you a defining perspective that not many people have. So I'll give another practical example. When I started visiting schools in 2016, teaching children how to stay safe in different situations, I realized that every time I told them a story of something that had happened maybe in another country or in another school, it got their attention. And I'm like, okay, that gave me an idea that when I was going to write a book, I was going to use story format. So you can see that it was in the course of doing something about the problem that insight came. Now, the next thing to doing to how you can leverage writing as a problem solving tool is you've now got to document that solution. And you are not just documenting the solution, you are documenting the challenges you picked up on the way, the lessons, and how you grew from the process. Because again, remember what Edirin spoke about, your African stories, your African perspective, it is becoming increasingly important in today's world. So you've got to document that knowledge. And then, of course, the next one is you've now got to create a book from this. So how do you create a book? You have to determine who your target audience is and what style of writing will suit this target audience. So I remember that because I knew that these children were going to be more interested in a book that is a story, I started to write a storybook, simplifying safety concepts in a way that children could relate with. So when I just go to primary schools, all I literally have to do is just pick up my storybook, read a chapter, and the children can all relate. Now, I even remember a situation where there is a part of the book where we say, Toby was trying to fly like Superman and he fell off the stairs. Now, everywhere I have gone to and I've read this story, public school, private school, all the children laugh. And the reason they laugh is because they can all relate with trying to do the Superman stunt. It's either they have tried it themselves or they've seen a sibling or a friend who tried it. So you've got to know this writing style that would appeal to your target audience. You've also got to determine how these people get access to this material. So if, for example, you really want the international audience to have access to your book, then you should be thinking about publishing on an international platform like Amazon so that it makes their work really easy. Also, if, for example, you're focusing on maybe children in underserved communities, you've got to begin to think of how to partner with organizations who work in those communities or who have such children as their target audience so that that book can get to them. And then, of course, write the book itself. Now, I must tell you that writing doesn't come easy to everybody. So as a busy professional, you've got to see how to break it down into parts over a defined timeline. So if, for example, you want your book to be out in 3 months, don't just go and write in your to-do list, write book. My dear, if you see write book, even you, your heart will fly because, oh my God, it's so big, you know. So you've got to break it down into parts. So you could say, okay, maybe this week we'll do some research on what are the things we're trying to do. Next week, we'll come up with the mind map, the outline of how this book is going to be structured. The upper week, we're not going to begin to speak with graphic artists so that they can begin to come up with various options, you know, for book covers. And that. So that way, by the end of, say, 6 weeks, you have not finished writing the book, but you are definitely on your way because you broke it down into parts. I remember that when I was writing the novel, God's Own, the very recent one, in 1 week, what I had on my schedule just for the book was call Theo in Rwanda and interview him on Rwanda. Why did I have to do that? Because this book was set in Rwanda and I needed someone who lived there to tell me about the airline system, the road networks, the tourist attraction, and everything that I would need to create the chapters that would hinge on that aspect of the book. So you see, just making a call to someone to interview is not as much work as writing an entire book. So learn to break it down into parts. So I've run you through how to leverage writing as a problem solving tool. I've said, identify the problem and who you're solving it for rather. And then I've said, take steps towards solving the problem. And I've also said, document what you're doing. And then, of course, create the book out of it. So the next thing would be the benefits of writing as a problem-solving tool. The very, very, very first one I would say is that writing a book provides a roadmap and a template for other people who are going to be facing similar challenges or similar problems as yourself. I'll give examples again. So we all know the current DG of the WTO, Dr. Ugochi Obidiegwu. She's a really top woman in her industry, leadership, politics, you just name it. She's done almost everything. Now, she wrote a book. In fact, she wrote several books, but there are two that got my attention because it was targeting women in leadership and in politics. The first one is Reforming the Unreformable, Lessons from Nigeria. The other one is Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, the story behind the headlines. Now, if you are a woman trying to venture into politics and you are scared, you're worried about what has happened to many women who have gotten into top leadership positions or political positions, all you need to do to start is to get a book from a high flyer such as that. And it provides you with the step. In reading that book, your job is not going to be totally easy, but somehow a burden is lifted because you can see the challenges she faced and you will be able to derive wisdom for your own practical steps. I'll give you another example. My book went to Germany. I haven't been to Germany yet, but my book went to Germany. It landed on the table of the head of international cooperation for the European Network of Education and Training in Occupational Safety and Health. These people saw this book, and it came at a time where the whole world was beginning to think of prevention. How can we reduce more accidents affecting your people? And he decided that, okay, it's important for us to take this knowledge to schools. So imagine now a book landing on your table from a Nigerian girl who is not just talking about it. She has actually written a book. She has actually started visiting schools and teaching with that book. Do you see why Edirin was talking about repurposing your content for global use? So because there was proof of work done, do you know these people checked me out? They checked all what I was doing. They even called somebody in Nigeria to verify. And guess what? They were satisfied and they recommended my work as good practice for their member countries. Imagine that. So your book provides a template. I can even give you another example. Edirin's book, The A to Z of ebook publishing. That was what I read to publish my books on Amazon. Even this new one that came out, when it was time, I just followed the same process and I put it up there. When your book is a problem-solving tool, it provides a roadmap for other people. The next thing it does for you is it increases your reach out of your immediate sphere of influence. I haven't been to Zimbabwe yet. I haven't been to South Africa yet, and so many other countries like that. But my book has gone there. The problem you are solving for someone here in the country, your country of residence, there's someone else halfway across the world who has a similar problem. And if they do not have something to refer to, they will just succumb to information from quacks. But you have solved that problem. You have a workable template that other people can learn from. And this is why you must, as a matter of fact, create something so that it can go out. Stop trying to say, oh, we must dominate local. When Edirin was talking about that, I could totally relate because my very first TV interview was in the US. It was after I came back from the US that the Nigerians started interviewing me. But that's not my problem because I'm focusing on doing the actual work. Remember, writing as a problem-solving tool. So the first one, it provides a template. The second one, it provides, it increases the reach of your book. And then the next one, it makes you a subject matter expert. So you might be doing all the other fantastic things you do for work, but once you write a book on your area of competence, it just sets you apart. So in 2019, I was supposed to speak at a conference in South Africa, but I had another one in Las Vegas. So of course I went to Las Vegas, right? But the Nigerians who went there told me that during the session, the lady from Germany was to speak at that event. And during her presentation, my picture was displayed in her PowerPoint slide. And she said, this lady is doing amazing work on child safety on the continent. She did not say in Lagos. She did not say in Nigeria. She said on the continent. Why? Because she had experienced my expertise with a book and, of course, the other things. So do you see why it's really important that you make yourself an authority by writing a book on your subject matter? And thank God Edirin has removed the fear of the number of pages. Her first book was less than 20 pages. So it's not really about the pages, it's about the content, the quality stuff you have put. You must put out quality stuff because you don't want a situation where people would look back tomorrow and say, what did she write? It should be that when they read your work, it was so good that even today stands the test of time. And even if today some things in it are now outdated, people can say, at the time this was written, it was the best stuff there is. So this is not trying to tell you, go and put out mediocre content. No, 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 no. You've got to put out quality stuff over and over and over again. And then, of course, your book gives you a global asset that you can earn from over and over again. You can see I'm just saying over and over again. Your book actually gives you that opportunity to be that subject matter expert. It makes you someone that, regardless of where you are, you can earn from it. Most especially when you publish on an international platform like Amazon. I was at a conference, virtual conference, some months ago, and because of interacting with people from all over, it somehow the topic of my books came up. And it's on Amazon. Immediately they went and they bought. And I saw it, I saw the email notifications and all that. So it's a global asset that you can earn from it over and over again. If you see the story of the DG of the WTO and you see all what has happened for her, you can see why the power of book is necessary. If you also see the story of Amanda Gorman, immediately after she had that powerful spoken word performance, everything just went off the roof because she had something. So you've also got to have something, regardless of whether you are an author you're an author as your day job. It doesn't really matter. Your book stamps you as an authority. So I've mentioned that the benefits, your work provides a roadmap for other people in similar situations. I've mentioned that it increases your reach. I've also mentioned that it establishes you as a subject matter expert. And of course, it's a global asset that you can earn revenue from over and over again. So regardless of what you do, I would like you to really consider writing about a problem you have hacked. Just look around your life. Look around the work you currently do for other people. How has it solved problems for others? How is it making life better for other people? Consider writing about it. Remember, the gravity, the intensity of problem that you solve for others will determine your impact, your influence, and by extension, your income. So you've really got to document it. Thank you all so much for listening to me. I've had to rush everything because I was trying to fit everything into our time frame.
Wow, 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 wow. Guys, was that? Please, let me see the comments coming in. Even this is like our book became a bestseller after her spoken word performance. Fantastic.
Exactly, like all her books. And because she had something. So imagine if she didn't have something and all the attention came in her direction and there was nothing to show for it.
Yes, I like that Emanuela says, do the actual work. Yes, it's not enough to say you want to be a global phenomenon, but then when they check you out, what would they see that you have done? What would they see? Like, guys, I hope that there are questions coming. I hope that you're keeping your question because the panel session will be coming up soon. We have 2 more speakers to go and then we'll have the panel session so that you can ask some very, very, very yes, so the ambulance, wow, it's so good. The session is so good. I have to become an ambulance, right? Yeah, so thank you so much, Ugochi, for coming with your best shot and giving us hot within the short time that we have. I know you have so much more to share. And guys, please go follow Ugochi. She is the safety chick on Instagram and follow her works. Her works are amazing. Like you can see that she's a powerhouse already. So you can learn a lot from her content. Like when you go through her Instagram page, she doesn't put out mediocre content at all. So you can go and man, this woman, she's a powerhouse. Should I say she's a powerhouse? She's a powerhouse. Oh my god. Anyways, let me not say much. You have to be in the inner circle to understand what I'm talking about. All right, sis. So she'll be backstage and she'll be back up when the panel session starts. Thank you so much, sis. God bless you. Wow. I mean, I can't stop wowing because it was so. Yes, Abigail is very impactful and in line with the flow exactly. And to think that I didn't even I was even looking at the layering when I put this together. This goes to show that, see, it has the handwriting of God all over it. And I am just a vessel, bringing this out and being a blessing at such a time as this one. And I am glad that you are finding value. Are you finding value, people? Are you getting value from this summit? Let me see it in the comment section. If you are getting value, let me see it. Yes, Ujama says, mind-blowing. You can say that. Oh, my dear sister. She's coming up next. Man, God has blessed me. Okay. I would love to brag about God a bit, but let's just see if there's more time. Like, God has blessed me, and I'm just so blessed. Anyways, moving on to our next speaker, talking about fiction with purpose. I wrote fiction with a purpose, but she's like, no, it's fiction with purpose. So even when you're talking about writing stories and solving problems, like you said, you heard Ugochi say that when she wanted to start with kids, she knew she couldn't just start talking about the problems and kids will get the point. But she embed the message in a fictional story that kids can relate with, right? And so even when Frances was speaking earlier, her stories is generally about women and our everyday struggles, but she wrapped it up in a fictional story so you can relate. When you read it, you can relate with it. I remember the last time at the last women talk session we had with her, and she read just a portion of that book. I was like this on the screen, like, oh my God, this woman, she needs to do the audio version. She's so good. She was so good with reading it. And like, I was just so enthralled when she was reading that. So, imagine, I say, oh, Bralade says illuminating. I love it. Excess value. Yeah. So just like the excess love that Jesus has for us. Yeah. Excess values. Yeah, too much value in such a short time. You can say that again, blessing. Girl to mom life say yes, I'm getting value. Yes. Manny says put out quality stuff out there. Yes, in your putting out your content, please stop posting only pictures. We know you are beautiful. We know you are fine. Stop posting only pictures. I mean, once in a while it's okay, but when people check you out, when people Google your name, let them see the value that you're bringing to the table. Even if it's as simple as my friend, my other, so I have plenty soul sisters. My friend who hosted yesterday, on her personal brand is smile. That is all she shares. Her content is just about smiling. She wants you to smile. She reminds you, have you smiled today? She puts out content about, so if you check her out, you will know that she's talking about smiling. So when people check out your content, what are you talking about? What sort of content are you putting out? Anyways, I hope you're gaining value. Ijama says, Ejiro, God bless you for putting out these women of substance for us for free. Thank you so much for appreciating it. And it will do more value if you also follow them on their social media platforms and share some of their works and even what they're sharing with you here today, the value that you're getting from them. Please share it on your stories and tag them so that they can also reshare on their stories to also tell their community that, I was at the summit and look at how much value people got from what I shared. Okay, God bless you. Now I'm going to bring on my next speaker. He's going to be talking about fiction with purpose, all the way from Houston. I love you, sis. Like, I love you. My heart is beating like this. Boom, boom, boom. Only say I love you. It's 5:30 a.m. right now. It's 5:37 a.m. in Houston, and she's up, looking all glam, looking all beautiful, shining like the star that she is. Anyways, let me bring her up next.
Bralade Koroye-Emenanjo is the founder of Preach What You Practice Media, home of the PWYP book series, podcast, and institute. She grew up surrounded by rich literature that her English professor dad curated in her home country, Nigeria. Relatable and didactic, Bralade's work of fiction embodies the rich culture of her heritage and universal principles to live by. An ardent advocate of thriving relationships, she coaches individuals and couples to embrace their personal power and leverage healthy boundaries. Bralade is a writer, speaker, coach, podcaster, engineer, leader, and minister. She champions purpose fulfillment, gender and cultural diversity, equity, and inclusion. She makes her home in Houston with her 3 kids and husband, Obioha. Speaking on Fiction with a Purpose, welcome Bralade Koroye-Emenanjo.
Sister, it's good to have you here, sister. Thank you so much, sister, for being here. How are you doing? Your mic is muted, so yeah. Okay, unmute your mic. You need to unmute your mic. Sis, you need to unmute your mic. Your mic is mute. Yeah.
I apologize. I apologize.
So good to have you here, sis.
Same here. I've just been so stoked. I've just been here, just championing all the other speakers, taking notes. I forgot that I was a speaker for a minute there. So thank you for putting together this excellent lineup. Seriously, it's so great.
Thank you so much for saying yes. Take it away, sister.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are here today, bright and early. I know it started in the morning for most of you in the different cities and countries where you are. For me, it started at 3:30 a.m. Can you believe that? That's what Edirin did to me. But I'm super stoked to be here. Anything that has to do with writing, with literature, just lights me up. It's like a fire. So I will take you in there. Fiction with a purpose. What does all of these things mean, right? When you think of fiction, you don't really think purpose. If you wanted to do something that had to do with purpose or learning a skill, you would probably think of buying a nonfiction book. You would think of all the great books out there. You would think of, John Maxwell. You would think of Brene Brown. But I want to tell you something about fiction today that will change your mind, especially those of you who have a message already to give. I want to give you the reasons why your fiction should have purpose, or why your purpose of writing should have fiction included in it, okay? So I'll start out by asking you some questions. So I want you to mention one book you read in elementary school. If you can remember any book at all that you read in elementary school, I want you to put it in the comments. Queen's Premiere, awesome. Yeah. Keep them coming. Any other book you read in elementary school? And let me tell you one of the reasons why Queen's Premiere sticks. It's because it told stories with words. It didn't just say, the sky is blue. It told stories. Brenda, you read Purple Hibiscus and said, wait, how old are you? Some of us were already in university at the time. That's what I'm wondering. All right, Ifeanyi and Obi, Eze Goes to School, The Drummer Boy. Do you see, I asked you what book you read in elementary school. I didn't ask you what fiction book did you read in elementary school. Do you see the difference? And now you can begin to see that the things that stuck with you through all of the years, they were fiction. Now, one thing you might not notice is that they impacted your psyche, but you don't quite realize because it was done in a nuanced way, right? I want to ask you another question. Can you mention the name of your geography textbook? Your geography textbook. If you can mention the name, in fact, I'll give you a prize right here. I see more of those fiction books coming in. Ralia the Sugar Girl. Awesome. No one can remember the name of their geography textbook. I know. Me, personally, I couldn't either. Someone said they hated geography. But even if you loved it, right? I remember using broomstick and thread to draw for my WAEC because we're trying to calculate distance, doing cartography and all sorts of things. You must have studied geography in your university. Stella. All right. So can you remember the movie Coming to America? If you can remember, put it in the chat. Actually, that'll be more easy to remember because you possibly even know that the second edition is out. Now, that movie Coming to America took you to America. It didn't just take you to America like other movies did. No, it took you into the ghettos of America. It took you into Black culture. It took you into an America where, Africa seemed to be better than. So you knew where Brooklyn was. You knew where Queens was. You knew where New York was. You knew that Akeem had an expectation when he was coming, and that wasn't what he met, right? So that is something we don't really see many times in our geography books. We just hear of America. And then what is the next perspective we get of America? We see the media, everything is shiny and bright. You just want to go there, right? That is what fiction does to you. It gives you stories. It takes it from non-binary to so many different perspectives so that your mind is open, so that you ask questions. Now, I'll tell you again another thing about controversial topics. There's some people who think that feminism is controversial, who think that being a feminist is, in fact, anti-God, right? And you ask them why, and they're like, well, this is what, and that is that, and all sorts of things. But guess what? Many people read Americana by Chimamanda Adichie, and they can relate. You read a story of a woman who grew up with her father and took care of her father growing up all the way till he was grown, helped him build his business. And then there's a prodigal son who ran away to South Africa when he was a teenager, refused to come back, even when the father was sick. And then culture says that when the man passes, all of those things that she helped him build belong to the boy, belong to the male child, right? How do you feel about that? Tell me. Do you agree with that? I mean, unilaterally, not that we're sharing, not that, oh, he can be kind and give to her. No, unilaterally, he owns it. What do you think about that? When you think about it from the perspective of the story, you begin to say, hey, something isn't right here, right? Something isn't right here. This is ideas of feminism being dropped in your mind. And you start to say, hey, this feminism thing is not just about women burning bras. It's about equality of the sexes. That's literally the description. So many times when I ask people, is your male child better than your female child? They'll be like, how can you even say anything like that? But I'm like, that's the actual definition of feminism. But they never quite thought about it like that. So you don't have to call yourself by any name. Don't worry about it. But your mind can be open to begin to entertain other perspectives and learn and educate yourself that, you know what, this thing I'm looking at is not black and white. There's shades, right? There's shades of it. Okay, so what is the intent of writers? If a writer has done their work, if any writing does not have these three elements, it's not writing basically, because words have this effect. So if you think of pie, it's to persuade, inform, and entertain. To persuade, inform, and entertain. You see many books, many writings that just like read like a textbook. Most of the times they inform you, right? And sometimes you read nonfiction, they persuade you. You know, they tell you, they make a case for why you should have integrity. They make a case for why you should develop good habits. But the third E of the pie, so this is pie, right? Persuade, inform, and entertain. The third E is entertain. And many times nonfiction doesn't do that. Many times textbooks don't do that. They only have those two other legs. So you want your pie to be complete. Fiction can have all of these elements because it takes all of these elements to be present for you to have good learning that stays with you. So what is the benefits of this? I'll leave you with this. I'll start off with this quote by Mark Twain. He says, truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. You know, if I came one day and I wrote someday that there was this virus that took over the world and there was a lockdown in all the countries of the world simultaneously, and people had to stay in their houses, cars weren't on the streets, people will be like, now, wow, what is all this? What kind of fiction? Does it make sense? Do you agree with me? People will be like, this thing does not make sense. How can you say, you know, something like that can happen? This is what fiction people do. They just take license and write anything they want, right? But it happened. So in that case, which one is truer? Fiction or nonfiction? Right? It is true. So when you think about it, fiction actually sometimes is more logical, in most cases actually, than truth. And you know, you've heard of some stories around you, you'll be like, if I told this thing, it will be people would think I was lying. So that's what it does. So those benefits are the nuance. Anything you hear, even if it's a message, even the Bible plants seeds in your mind. Life is non-binary. You will see some people offer their sons in the Bible and their countries got saved. Some other people offered their sons and God said, no, how can you do that? Truth is nuanced. Until you're able to find that element that is your truth. And when I say your truth, it doesn't mean that it is non-factual. It just means that from your perspective, this is what is true. Till you find that, you haven't gotten into your higher consciousness, right? So that's the purpose of fiction with a purpose. It's supposed to be nuanced so that you don't see Africa as a danger, as a single story. So that when you think of Africa, you don't think of only the children with flies on their bodies suffering from kwashiorkor. But at the same time, you don't think of only the people living in Ikoyi in Lagos or Cape Town in beautiful surroundings. Because when some people say danger of a single story, they want you to think of only the good parts of Africa. But we have all of them all, right? We have all of them. So let us expose all these things in our stories. That rich man who is the executive director of the bank, he has a washerman, right? Who has his own family and children and dreams and aspirations. How do you find that out if you just hear of the documentary or the biography of the man? It's incomplete, right? But when fiction comes, even in autobiographies, go and look at them. When fiction comes, it actually encapsulates the whole story. They will add some elements of fiction because they know that people's lives are not just straight like this. And if they told you just straight like that, you'll be like, what's going on? The final thing is that it increases emotional quotient. In the world where we are now, people don't listen. People don't want to engage. People don't want to, it's either my way or the highway. Emotional quotient is what everybody's looking for in an employee, in a partner. And it relieves stress. It helps you communicate effectively and empathize with others. Okay, so the book that I wrote, I call it realistic fiction. It's actually a thing in literature, realistic fiction. If you Google it, you'll find it. It said realistic fiction is about people, their problems and their challenges. And it's like God's Own that Ugochi Obidiegwu wrote. You need to get that book. Go get it, okay? The characters in the novel should be believable, and their language and actions should appropriate for the setting of a story and reflective of the culture and social class in which they live. So I can't write of maybe the woman selling corn, roasted corn by the street, and say she got into her Lexus Jeep and drove home. Her children are in private school. Do you understand? It has to be relatable. It has to be believable. So what I did with my book on boundaries, I'm very big on boundaries. I believe that everyone has a responsibility to self-actualize, to control their emotions, and to control the space around them where they let people in and they let people out of. I believe firmly in that when it comes to relationships. So when I was thinking of boundaries, I said, okay, it was my 10th wedding anniversary last November. And I said, I'm going to write a book. And I'm going to write a book on boundaries in marriage. I struggled with finding my outline or the perspective. I said, I'm going to write a nonfiction book, right? I'm going to tell people, this is what you do. If it does like this, do like that. If it does like that, do like this. I would start out and then I would stop, because what do I know about that woman or that man in that marriage? I don't know jack. I know about mine. I know about generality, how things should be. But when people read books, sometimes they shake their heads because they're like, they don't know my situation. Now, when I read the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend, that's a book everyone should get. I mean, they speak from the American perspective, where the wife and the husband generally have the same, carry the same weight in their marriage. And I think of my country, Nigeria, and how we're socialized, right? There's gender inequality everywhere, but more so in cultural, deeply cultural settings like we can have in developing countries or Nigeria. We say our culture is wonderful. We don't want to change it. But the truth is that culture that is not evolving is relegating some people because everybody was not always equal in culture. So I thought about it and I said, you know what? The only way I can make this thing come home, bring this thing home for people, is by making it fiction. I'm going to tell stories because stories are indelible. When people read stories, people just are transported. First of all, they forget their own situation, which helps them be successful. So they forget their own situation and they step into the shoes. So when I started talking about that woman who's been abused by her husband, I didn't say she should talk because people will be like, oh, the husband hasn't said his own side. I didn't want it from her perspective. I wrote it from the perspective of their maid, their children's nanny, who could see. And she would speak about how beautiful this woman is and how this man beat her so mercilessly and how many people would come and try to save her from the marriage and try to take her away. But she would say, no, can you believe what they're saying? I should leave my husband. How? That's so wrong. It's not in keeping with, scripture and things. And I told this story. Now you reading it, you will be insulting that man. You will even be insulting the woman. You'll be like, stand up and leave. Do you want to die first? But guess what? The people saying that, many of them are in abusive relationships, but they don't immediately think of themselves. So what you've done is you've opened their minds. If you sat down and you started out by saying, leave this man, he's abusive and all, they would be protective, they would be defensive. But seeing this woman's story and seeing, what comes after it, they'll be like, if she can do it, I can do it. We've started changing perspectives. I talk about couples and their handling of monies. I talk about broken engagements and how she had to walk out after she heard him call his mom a witch and fight with everyone and be cantankerous and refuse to be accountable to everybody else. So even though they were both Christians and shared the same faith and all, she started to see that there were some things I couldn't go with, right? So that's something that I did in my book Boundaries, and it's going to be launched in May. Watch out for it. Now, today, I want to sell you a case for you to write that fiction with a purpose. I want you to write it. There's none of us that doesn't have stories to tell. So that thing Edirin said, where people were saying, hey, you're not qualified to write this. It is not the rights of a few, right? You heard about Frances, who wrote novels. She spoke about her career in banking. She didn't say I graduated with mass communication or anything. If you're a human, you have stories to tell. I can tell you that. So I want to tell you, using the more philosophy. So tell stories, right? And then make them more. Make them more. And more is an acronym. Again, I want you to remember. Memorable. Make it memorable. Make it observational. Write about things you see, things you understand. I love the assignment Ugochi gave herself when she said she called someone in Rwanda because she didn't want to write about fictional Rwanda. Sometimes you read books and you're like, hey, why didn't they take the time to talk to people who live here, right? Make it observational. Make it relatable and revolutionary. So challenge people's thinking. Don't slow yourself down. Give it a story, give it an uplift, play with the story so that it starts to challenge people's thinking, revolutionary. And the final one, make it educational. Let them learn something. Let them learn some statistics. Let them learn how it makes people feel. So people hear that, oh, one person is raped every day in this country, but they don't know what that toll is. And it's a story that can take you there. And when you've done all these things, right, how do you maximize? How do you maximize? You've done all this work and it was to change culture. It was for a purpose. How do you make sure that your purpose is achieved? I'll give you another acronym, right? I've talked about PI, the purpose of writers, what writers intend to achieve. I've talked about more, what you should put in your mind when you're writing that fiction. And the final one, I'll talk about bump. How do you maximize this? How do you make sure that culture really changes, that the world really knows? The first one is book clubs. Everybody I gave my stories to edit, I would say just edit it, read it, and tell me what you think. Look for where I didn't put the punctuations, right? They would come back and they would start talking about the stories as if they knew the people. I said the people were their neighbors. They will be like, well, why did that mother-in-law come and start harassing her daughter for this? This is what happened with my sister. And it starts to bring out other stories. It starts to make them see like, hey, I wasn't exactly like that I didn't do something right in my own situation. Now I see how it looks. So look for a way to generate book clubs, get people to sign up for book clubs and start to discuss, because in sharing our stories, we learn from each other. The second one is UGC, right? User generated content. And if you follow people like Edirin and people like John Obidi, people in new media, they will tell you user generated content is huge. Let people tell their stories. I don't want people to just read the 14 stories I told of the couples, right? All over Nigeria and actually global, because Africans in diaspora carry their cultures with them. So I basically would have people tell me their stories. They wouldn't even realize they were telling me their stories. They just started because their guards were down. They were bare before the truth that they were seeing. So have people tell their stories. Let them tag you on social media. Give them a hashtag. Let them use to tell their own stories as well, because there's liberation and there's learning from there. The people that person engages with will learn better from their stories than from your story. The next one is market. So this is bump, right? The first one, book clubs. The second one, UGCs. The third one, market. Girl, you did all that work. Right? If you're like me, you don't like social media that much. You don't like to talk that much. I mean, I'm an engineer. This is not my forte. I love words. My father is an English professor. I love words, but I would never have thought I would write a book. It was the pain of purpose. Purpose comes either as pain or inspiration. It was the burden I saw from people not living their vision and fulfilling their purpose in their marriage because they didn't have boundaries to say, hey, this is what I want to pursue, and go all out and pursue it, because they were limited by someone else's actions on them. That was why I went in there. So you have to market it. So go to the media, use reviews, introduce these topics, go speaking about it, market it everywhere. And the final one is proliferate. The world is bigger than Aba, my pastor used to say. Aba is a city in Nigeria. If you lived in Aba, you would think like this whole place. In fact, when you spoke about another side of Aba, you would talk about it as if it's so far. So the world is global. The world is global. So go for that global audience. Get on Amazon, all these things. So bump is what you do. So in conclusion, I would say you should write your stories. Just start writing. Don't think, how will I publish this? First of all, go ahead and start writing. And let me tell you something. If you generate one conversation, because your purpose is not to just say you must change, you must this, because what does change look like? It's different. So the purpose of a storyteller is not to tell you how to think, but to give you questions to think upon. If you even start the conversation, you would have done some good. Thank you all so much.
Can I see the comments? Bump. Three acronyms. PI.
More.
More and bump. Go and check the comment section. I'm going to write them down. Thank you so much. That was so fantastic. What? That was, man, sis. In fact, I know there are more questions. Please write down your questions. We're going to be coming back for the panel session after the last speaker, and then all the questions are going to come in. Thank you so much. Awesome. Let's bring up our next speaker right away. Okay, thank you so much. We'll be backstage now. Wow, guys, amazing, right? Okay, without further ado, I'm going to be bringing up our last speaker for today. Whew. So you see, Fauza, she is story. She herself. She is story. If you sit with this woman and listen to what she's gone through, she's the definition of thank God we don't look like what we've been through. She's a powerhouse. She's a storyteller, and she'll be talking about embracing your story. Wow, I can't wait for this last session. Don't go anywhere. Sit back, pick up your pen and biro, and please jot down your questions, because we're going to be having a panel session. This panel session today is going to be off the hook. So I'll bring up my next guest now, Fauza Beltz. Enjoy.
Fauza Beltz is an author, a motivational speaker, and founder of Fauza Consultancy Limited. She published her first book in 2016, Rising from the Dust, a woman's journey to self-discovery. Her creative streak and passion for art led to Fauza Consultancy Limited. Initially a blog documenting her interior design creations, jewelry collection, and her love of fashion. Fauza Consultancy has grown to include interior design guidance, branding, and mentoring. She is a qualified interior designer from the Center of Executive Education, CEE, Dubai, UAE. She is the brain behind the Woman-to-Woman Conversation, an initiative that provides women with the opportunity to share what is dear to their hearts. She would be speaking on Embracing Your Unique Story. Welcome, Fauza Beltz.
Hey, sister.
Yeah. That we are twinning.
You know what I'm saying? How are
That
you,
was
sister?
powerful. I loved her speech. I've enjoyed her speech.
I know, right? And we can't wait to enjoy yours. So please, sister, take it away.
All right. Okay. EJ asked me to share about embracing our stories, and I always believe there is no any other better way than telling your own story, because your story is what you know better. Your story is what makes you you, what makes you unique, what makes you different, what makes you who you are created to be. And yeah, where do I start? I believe that every child, every baby, every newborn child who is conceived is loved by God, no matter what circumstances he or she may have brought into the family. And AJ has introduced me. My name is Fauza. I am from Kenya and I've been living in UAE for the last 10 years now. I would say my story is not so different from many people. I grew up in an abusive home, dysfunctional home. My parents were not married. It is what it's called a one-night stand. And at the age of 3 years old, my parents were not married. My mother had to give me to her own mother to be raised by grandmother. Something that is so common in Africa, not just in Africa, in Asia, in so many parts of the world, that you will only get to know when you share your stories with other people. You suddenly realize that there are some things that we all have gone through that they're similar in one way or the other. At the age of 8, I was sent now to be with my paternal grandmother. And you can just imagine a child that young when you want to be in a safe environment with your parents, but you are being moved from one home to the other with sets of different adults. It can be difficult. Children who grow up in different homes, in abusive homes, emotionally, physically, mentally, sometimes they tend to tell themselves stories that I am not good enough. I knew that I was an accident child, meaning I was not even planned, but I appeared. And I would want to think that that was not an accident, because I believe now that God does not do anything by accident. He purposely, divinely orchestrates everything. Even in the Bible, he said everything he created, everything he does, it's not an accident. But at a younger age, when you are vulnerable, you are still searching for yourself, your identity. you tend to ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? What is God saying about me? And so a new life for me started with another set of adults to raise me up. And it was not easy. I remember even in elementary school, academically, I was struggling because of the dynamics in our household. I used to see other kids, I used to see families together, and I would compare my life with the others. It gets worse when, as a child, you are being told you ruined your parents' bachelorhood, or all those things. Sometimes adults tell children without them realizing the power of the words that they tell to these vulnerable children. As a child, you don't know anything better, so you don't think anything better. You only think what you're experiencing in your life at that moment, it's normal. The abuse you go through is normal. Anything that you're being told, it's normal, because you don't know anything else. I saw nothing wrong with that. I was happy that I actually had a place to call home. However, as I grew older, things changed. I had so many questions about my upbringing and all the mental abuse and physical beating, physical abuse that I went through. There were even moments where I used to be reminded, that, you being here, it was not intended for. That brought shame to myself. I was walking around with shame. I would look at myself in the mirror and feel ashamed of me, knowing that my creation caused family divisions, caused unhappiness to others, caused pain to others, my creation. I brought shame. And so I carried this shame with me in my childhood, in my teenagehood. And I look back now, even when I got married, I was still carrying this shame. But then as a child, when I reminisce my life, I wonder, why did I cause those problems to my parents? Why did things had to go the way they went through? Could have things been different? The feelings of being a victim, abandoned, unwanted, took hostage of my life. And I started blaming myself for everything that has happened. My teenage years, in fact, were full of darkness, especially in the days when you are trying to find your place in the society, in the communities, and in the culture that I lived in. And for many, many years, ladies and gentlemen, I tried to reconcile with myself the reasons of my birth that caused family division. I battled. There were moments where I struggled with anxiety. There were moments where I find myself lost in the jungle. There were moments where I didn't want to leave my bed. There were moments where I had no hope and I didn't see the reason for me being here. And the reason is I was ashamed of me and everything that it had to happen for me. But when I look at it now, I'm just reminded that everything that has happened was not an accident. It wasn't. Having this understanding that God does not do anything accidentally, it has actually liberated me. Because he says, before I knew you, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. He chose me. And the fact that the egg and the sperm was hit and I was created, I look at it as a miracle. Because of all the things that had to happen for me to be born, that alone is a miracle. And so, anger, victimizing, shame, guilty, anxiety. There was a time where I found myself struggling with depression because I am searching for my own identity. Christmas 2013, I received a gift, a book by a woman called Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. In her book, Louise Hay says, if we are willing to do the mental work, almost anything can be healed. Anything can be healed. But the battle is in our mind. It's after reading Louise's Hay book, I realized that it does not matter what has happened to me, how my upbringing has been, the shame that I brought to my family, the rejection, growing up in abusive homes. It doesn't matter. All these do not matter. What matters is now I'm an adult, a grown-up woman, but I'm still held captive, held in a bondage, in a cage, with everything that has happened in life. Question that really made me to have a new beginning was, yes, this has happened, but what am I doing now with the life that I have? What am I doing now with the life that I am living right now? In 2015, I co-authored a book with 15 different other women. After sharing my story during one of the book launch in Sydney, many men, grown-up women, young girls, young boys, they could see their stories through my only one chapter of my sharing. Later on, they came to me and they were like, I want to read your story, the entire story. So this feedback actually fueled me to start journaling. I realized that my telling of only one chapter in this particular book was already liberating other men and women, young girls and young boys. It's because it's not always, I realize that it's not always a doom and gloom life. There is always hope. And one can rise from the dust that they are in and conquer their fears also. So for me, the need to empower some young children, young boys, young girls, anywhere, wherever they are, at whatever levels of their struggles that they are in, fueled me to publish Rising from the Dust, a woman's journey to self-discovery. I went on this journey because I wanted to put an end of everything that I have victimized myself, went through, the labels that I have labeled myself, those that I have identified myself with, the trauma, the pain, the abuse, the scars that I am still carrying until today. I realized that all these, they were part of my story. And so Rising from the Dust was written and was published in the hope that some girl anywhere in the world, when they get to hear me speaking like now, or they get to get a hold of Rising from the Dust, that they too will find courage to stand in their own power. Because there is power in you. There is power within you. That power that made it possible for me to be created, that power is always with us. I call that God. I don't know what you call in your own belief. And having that understanding, that realization, I don't do anything without that knowledge of I am not alone. There is higher power that is bigger than me. That higher power, it is for me and not against me. And so in Rising from the Dust, I am sharing personal journey that will encourage you to dust yourself, to hold yourself, instead of feeling pity, instead of victimizing yourself, instead of letting life just happen. I am encouraging you to use your story to be a testimony to another person. Because sharing my story opened doors for me. That's why I am here today on the Becoming Summit. Because I had to become. I had to open the doors. I had to open my wounds. I had to open all that nasty and pain and shame and guilty and victimization. Everything that we all do to ourselves. I had to go through that so that I can be me. Because the reason why God created me, Fauza, had a purpose. My journey had a purpose that it will only be evident when I stop feeling sorry for myself and holding on myself together so that I can become who God has created me to be. And so I want to encourage all of us. It is important that whatever we are in life, whatever is going on, life now in 2021 with COVID, it has brought in actually so much pain, so much. There is just so much going on in the world right now when we look at it, that we have to make a choice. Are we going to live with what's going on? Or are we going to see our glass half full rather than every day half empty? The problem is, I realize with myself, many times when we are in going through things, when we are battling demons, when the mountains are so big and we don't even know how else to go about it, we always feel that I am the only one who is going through that. But the truth is, sharing my story, I have met men and women who they have seen their stories through my story. And that is why actually also, as EJ has said before, woman-to-woman platform exists. It's for us to share our stories, to empower one another, to inspire one another, to pray for each other, to cry together, to love and to laugh. And so it is important we realize that my story, rising from the dust, is not just about a story about struggles, because it was meant to be for me to become who I am meant to become. And yes, there are many other girls, boys, and women still going through what they are going through. These are stories that are equally experienced by. And that's why I embarked again. And last year I published yet another book, Transform Fear into Freedom. Harness the power of your mind. I am reminding each one of us, we've all gone through things that have made us to stop, to become rather the best versions of ourselves. And I want to ask you, what is it? Is it poverty? Is it pain? Is it struggling with school? Is it rejection? What is it for you? I want to encourage you to write your stories, because your story is what makes you you and is what makes you unique. And there is nothing that is an accident. I want to encourage each one of us, whether you are an upcoming writer, and librarian, wherever you are, let us share stories, because it's through sharing our stories that we learn from each other. Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story. Share your story. It will liberate you and it will heal another person. Thank you.
Ooh, like Edirin just said what I'm going through, right? Like I'm all like, my body's like, my eyes is, oh, Fauza, thank you. Thank you for being a brave woman. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for rising, out of the dust. I mean, I know you did, guys, you need to get her book, Rising from the Dust. This woman has gone through, oh God. As she tells you like a summary of it, what is going through my head is, man, if you only knew. I mean, we all have our stories, that's just the truth. We all have our stories. We all have the struggles that we've gone through and things like that. But it's not an easy one, to come out and share. And so for anybody who comes out to share, we salute you. Fauza, thank you, because in you sharing, you give others a permission to also share. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure that a lot of people can relate with your story. Woo, okay, guys, before I start shedding tears over here, because I'm all emotional right now, but I'm going to bring back all our speakers so that we can have, this panel session. So right now will be a fantastic time for you to send in your questions in the comment section so that I can put them on the screen and we can answer your question. Thank you so much to all our guests. Thank you, Fauza. Thank you, Frances, who has been here from the very beginning. I love you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, VC. You are awesome. Thank you, Ugochi. Thank you so much. Where's my super duper melanin queen? Thank you, Bralade, for being here. Thank you, amazing. Like, I am blessed. I do not take this for granted that you would honor such a little girl as me to come share your story with this amazing audience. and all of the fantastic things. So guys, what are your questions? What are your questions? What are your questions? I see you. Bless you, more grace. Somebody says, thank you so much, Fauza, for sharing. God bless. Somebody says, how can we get your book, Fauza? How can we get your book?
It's you can get, well, it's on Amazon.com, any Amazon. If you are in Dubai, it's in Kinokuniya bookstore in the Dubai Mall. You can get it on FauzaBeltz.com on my website. If you are in Kenya, we have it also in Kenya. It's everywhere.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So go get the copy of Rising from the Dust by Fauza Beltz. So a question is coming here from Brenda Eleblu. She says, what do you do when you start writing and at a point you cannot find words to put down? How do you go out of the freeze zone? I guess this is what people call writer's block. So anybody can answer that question.
Yeah, I can try. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
All right, great. Yeah, so there's this thing that Edirin, she's a coach. First of all, don't underestimate the power of a writing coach. It's not that you don't know how to write. It's just that someone else to keep you accountable and to hold you to your deadlines and give you the resources you need. And sometimes something as simple as templates, right? So first of all, give yourself all the resources that you can so that you make your journey easier and faster. And then the second thing I would say is something that coach, Edirin, she calls the Jaga Jaga model, right? So that means in Nigeria, Jaga Jaga is a term that stands for kind of anyhow and random, chaotic. So any part of, some people want to write chronologically, introduction, then chapter 1, chapter 2. At the time you start out writing, it may not even be that you even know the format of the whole book. So just start anywhere you are. Even if you're in acknowledgement, start. If you're in the conclusion before you're in introduction, go ahead and start. It's your story. Later, you can get a developmental editor or any editor, and you might even change your mind about what you want to write, right? So just put down as much as you can. Use audio as well in case you get tired of. I found out that typing didn't quite work for me, so I had to write on paper and pen. Who would have thought, right? But something in my subconscious mind told me that my laptop was for work. So I couldn't seem to use it to do any creative thing. So I wrote by hand.
Fantastic. Does anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, it just made me laugh. I love that. That's a writer, right? The old way of a pen, and I love
by hand. And then I spoke everything. I spoke everything into a transcript service. Like Otter is one. So because I couldn't type it one by one, because they're like 40,000 words. So I spoke them. And then I edited what I had. When you speak, there's some free transcript software. Edirin will hook you up, follow her. She will hook you up. She knows all things podcast. And it'll help you.
Fantastic. Edirin wants to say
other thing. Oh, sorry.
Frances, go on, please.
Well, I was just going to say, when I sometimes feel like I'm trying to get the thoughts out, I go for a walk. Just walking, you can just get clarity. You can get inspiration. And the other great place is the shower. When I'm taking a shower, I don't know, the ideas just seem to come flooding out. So when in doubt, get into the shower or take a walk.
I like
frees
that.
Your mind.
All right. Edirin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I like the Jaga Jaga method and I'll probably try that. But the kind of person that I am, my brain always thinks in processes. So it's hard for me to get into a chapter 2 when I haven't done a chapter 1. So what I found that works, I actually learned this from I forget his name now, Chandler Bolt, I think that.
Yeah, self-publishing school.
Yes, and he was the person I went to when I wanted to write my first and then second books as well. So he has this 3-step method that he teaches to help people to be able to at least have an idea what you want to write for each chapter. The first step is the mind map. The second step is the outline, and the third step is where you write, and I add or read, like Brenda just also said. So the mind map is basically where you do a brain dump. You have an idea for a book, and everything is swimming in your head. Do not type it down. So like she said as well, typing it down may feel like work and you may actually forget something. Do not underestimate the power of your written word. All right. So take a huge piece of paper and just write down all the ideas you want to have in that book. Everything you think the book should contain, write it all down. It's very effective, especially if you're writing non-fiction. But I also found that it also works for people who write fiction as well. Just write down all the ideas. If you're writing fiction and you have plot ideas, or you have character ideas, or you have setting ideas, and so on and so forth, just write everything down till your brain is exhausted and you can't think of anything else. Then do what I do, begin this slow, painful process of trying to group those ideas into similar buckets. I call them content buckets. So you group those ideas together into similar buckets until you've practically packed everything in your mind map into certain groups or buckets. Then go through the process of arranging those buckets in ascending order, but basically like the one you think should come first or not. Eventually, once you start writing, you may find out that some things will have to change, but that initial process at least helps you to give you an idea of where to start, what should come before what. I think these things should come as an introduction. It would be good to introduce this character first. It would be good to have this particular ideology first, because it will lead into this thing and then lead into that thing and so on and so forth till I get to the end. What you've done is basically put together the bones of your skeleton, right? So when you write, and they call it fleshing out basically means attaching the flesh to the skeleton that you have created. It's easier for you to create the frame or the figure or the human being that you want to create when you already have the skeletons together. Imagine you trying to attach flesh to all the different bones as they are scattered. It's very hard to do. But once you have the entire skeleton put into place, which is your outline, it then becomes easier for you to attach the flesh. So like what my co-host also said as well, once you've done the outline and you're somebody who really doesn't know how to write and put the words or find the words to put down, which I find that a lot of people I work with struggle with writing. But if you tell them, okay, tell me about this chapter 1, they will breeze through the whole thing as if you know. So I'm like, okay, fine. Each chapter or each part of your book, imagine you're on stage and you're giving a seminar or giving a talk about it, and someone asks you, okay, like chapter 1, for example, is myths about writing. Talk to me about myths about writing. This person will be able to say everything. All I just do is just turn on my recorder and the person is talking. By the time you're done, I turn it off. I'm like, hey, that's your chapter 1. So imagine you're now able to do that for each chapter of your book, and then you just simply go back and transcribe from your words into your text. A great thing about that is that it helps your readers to connect with you, because they are reading, and sometimes, especially if you're writing a book for people who you're already your audience members, they already understand your voice. When you write a book that was from your spoken words, when they start reading that book, it's like they are hearing your voice in their head. It becomes a lot more easier to actually read and comprehend. And that's a secret that helps a lot of people in my community to actually write really fast.
Wow. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Ugochi, are you saying something to this, or can we move on to the next question?
We can move on, because she actually said what I had in mind. That's how I write. Draw the mind map first, create your outline, then take it in little buckets. Before you know it, you're well on your way. That's just it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brenda. I hope your question was answered. The next question says here, can one share a story that they are still going through? I think this is a good one, because a lot of people just hang in there like, but it still is my story, right? It's still happening to me. There's no end yet. How will I write it? And I'm like, okay, let me not answer. So please, can someone write a story that they are still going through?
I think I'll let Fauza go first. Fauza,
yeah, that's a good
you have a real story, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, listen, we are all human beings, and life is happening every day. Every day. Every day. And now things have really changed. So, yeah, things are happening every day. And this is just the truth. And even, we are always reminded that in this world, you will always have troubles. But do not be afraid, because I've already overcome the world. Why did Jesus say that? Because he knew every day there will be something. But here's what I do. I cannot control what is not on my power. I cannot control COVID. I cannot control my father's rejection. That is his choice, right? What choices can I make for me? Right? Because you have the power and you have the choice to decide how you want to live your life every day. You have that choice.
I love Fauza. She's such a preacher. But one thing I can say is that there's if you notice now, memoirs are becoming more popular than biographies. Before, people used to think you have to live till you retire or even die before your biography comes out. But memoirs are like snapshots in your true story. So think like 5 memoirs can make your whole biography. So you just keep writing. You just keep writing.
Awesome.
I like to say, even if you feel like you're still going through something, remember that Bralade's her topic was on fiction with a purpose. I like to talk about the general sense of it, writing with a purpose. So what's the purpose of the story that you're writing? What's one lesson, at least, do you want people to take away? And if you've lived that lesson already, then let it just, you can end at the explanation of that lesson. And then as you continue to have more epiphanies and experiences and more lessons in your life, you can put them into memoirs as well as you have said. So just have a lesson and then tell the story that helps to explain what that lesson is.
Fantastic. So as your lesson comes, if you have a purpose for writing the first part, there's nothing wrong with having the same way movies have part 1, part 2. And it could be a series, right? So it could be a book and be a series too. So you have already lived up to say 18 years. Even let me just say that's like the youngest person, for example. So your years from between age 0 to 10 or to 15 is something, right? And you can write about that in the first part, and then so we can even grow along with your story. So the short answer to that is yes, but the longer answer is finding all those other things in between. Thank you so much. Somebody is asking, can we have women coach who are willing to sacrifice time for reviews when we write? Well, I think this one, there are people who do this for a living.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
I think reviews are very important, honestly. And I mean, it depends. You mean reviews when the book is published, or reviews you want someone to read your entire manuscript? Because that takes a lot of time. That is why there are professional proofreaders, editors, everybody who makes a book before you can hold it like this. There are services for that. So it depends. What kind of help do you need? Is it bouncing back ideas? That is fine. But sometimes I think what I realize with the people who come to me, they actually want me to write their book. I can't write your book because you are the one who can tell the tale. I can't tell your tale. So I can bounce ideas with you, but I can't write it for you. And if it's reviews, if you have a book, actually on my YouTube channel, what I've started doing actually is every now and then I would do reviews for the books that I'm reading. So I am happy to do that at no cost, because we are here to support one another.
Okay, so I'll just like to add to yes, I'd like to add to what Fauza said. So there are 2 types of reviews that you need. So at the beginning, when you have written the work, you need a professional editor, because something might sound so good to you, but when a professional looks at your work, they will see that the order is not right. I remember that when I wrote the very first book, what I had as chapter 1 is currently chapter 4, and that's because it passed through the hands of an editor who saw that the ordering wasn't quite right, and he reordered everything. Now, for the other part, when the book has been written and it has been professionally edited and all that, you need other experts to read and say something that you're going to push out to your audience as proof of why you should get the book. So you could do that 2 ways. For the novel that I wrote recently, what I did was I got normal ladies to give their reviews. Then I got people who were experts in relationship, marriages, and all that to also give their review, because you are trying to make it as balanced as possible so that people can see that the quality of work you're putting out there is great. So you've got to look for your friends, people in your circle, and then also subject matter experts, so that they can also give a sign of and again, I know that this can also be tricky when you want to get other people to give a sign off. You've got to be confident in the work you have put out.
Yes.
It's also got to have an increased self-awareness to know where a review is coming from a good place and where something is just coming to tarnish your hard work. So that wisdom is so important, so that when those reviews come in, you are able to look at it from a balanced perspective, knowing who you are, knowing that they are reviewing the work, not you.
Not you.
Very important.
Fantastic. Thank you. Frances, we're going to say something.
Yeah, and I think all the suggestions that have been given are really useful. I would also add to that by saying, especially if you're in the early stages of writing, try and join some writers groups.
Yes.
With other writers at the same level and stage as you are, starting to put their stories together, and you can form a self-critiquing group and be able to feed back to each other. So before you start getting to the paid support, really make sure you've done the best you can do using readers that are people just like you who enjoy the sort of things that you're writing. So there are meetup groups you can join virtually. And some of these groups are quite good. They even bring other speakers to come and speak to help to really improve your craft, because writing is a craft. Even though you have great ideas, getting those ideas written in a way that's going to engage a reader is a craft. And like anything, any other craft, you have to, and you're not going to go and be an expert on day one. None of us is, right? We all practiced and practiced. The first stuff we write, even today, my first draft of a manuscript is utter rubbish, right? And it's only when you go back and you refine it and you edit it that it starts to become the story that eventually gets out there. So join up with other people, critique each other's, and just as was said, be open to critique, right? It's not a personal attack. Listen to what's being said, because you don't write your story for you. You write it for the reader. And other people read it as readers. So when they're telling you something isn't working, they're telling you as a reader. So if you listen to that, then you've got a better chance of communicating effectively.
Fantastic.
I also want to add, having professional, having your book edited or read professional, it is very, 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 very important. Save your money for that. I know some people, they want to have amazing book covers, and that is all fine, but if the content inside is not really to a certain professionalism, it's gonna doom the work that you are doing. So I would say sometimes get it done the right way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next question, which says, my question is, how can someone overcome the fear of coming out to speak? This one is for you, Fauza.
She just made my heart drop. Honestly, and when I talk about these things, and it's so, I'm heading to my 40s, but it's always the reason why I talk, it's because I know people are struggling. People are suicidal thoughts. People are going through these things are real. These things are real. You are not alone.
No.
You are not alone. You don't need to talk about it the way I'm doing. Do you have a confidant you trust? Do you have someone, even if it's not your mother, I'm now journeying with someone who the parents don't even know that she has reached out to me for help. Do you have someone you trust that he or she can walk with you side by side? Because that's all what we need sometimes. You don't have to put it on Facebook, because social media has brought a lot of issues nowadays. It doesn't need to be like that, sweetheart. Talk to me, whoever you are. EJ, whoever they are, if they want to talk, let them talk to me. Honestly, I say, talk to someone before it gets too bad. Because that is the work of the enemy. The enemy wants to isolate you, put you in a corner, preaching to you all the lies that he is good at preaching to people. And you see only darkness.
Yeah.
But darkness, EJ, has been overcome by light.
Light, yes.
You are not alone. If you need to talk to me, come. I will not charge you any naira, shilling. Come. I will walk side by side with you. And the reason why I do that is because I have heard stories. I have seen things that sometimes that's why I dedicate my time to serve for the glory of God. Because really the enemy is not playing games, ladies.
Thank you so much, Fauza.
It doesn't need to be public, whoever you are. It can be the women in your Bible study, the women in your ministry, your friend. Pick someone who will not be judging you and all that, because we are humans and we are so good at judging one another. You only need one person sometimes.
Thank you so much, Fauza. That was so hard.
Honestly, it gets really deep to me because I know I was there. Thank God for the people who loved me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Somebody says, how do we go about Amazon to get our stories out there? Abigail, this one is simple. Like, just join open. Join open. Join Edirin Edewor's group on Facebook. It's called OPE Network. So it's online publishing and entrepreneur network. Join, like, she has helped thousands of people to publish on Amazon. So that's yeah.
Yeah, something I want to add to that is that if you're a career person or you feel like, there are other things you're doing in your life, maybe you have a business and you can see the steps, like it's not rocket science, you can actually do it, but you don't have the time and you have the money, I would say get someone. I decided while writing this book, like I was going to get this book out, and I know that if it depended on me doing all the go learn Amazon, go learn, all these things, I probably would never do it. Right? So there are many of you are busy in other endeavors. This is not your primary, you're not going to be that author who, writes every quarter, or you don't have the luxury of being retired or something so that you have all the time in the world. Put your money where your vision, your dream, your values are, and get that writing out as fast and as effectively as possible. That's why you get even a publicist if you and all these things are not like, don't think they're crazy expensive. No. And of course a network like the open network can probably link you to people who can do these for you in a more affordable way.
Yeah, so I'll just add something to that, and that's the fact that for every time you have an idea to do something, write a book, do a project, there is an energy in that moment. If you don't at that time, you're going to lose. Many times you're not going to do that thing anymore. So you've got to find it. If you need to leverage other people to get that done, please do. But you have to leverage the energy in that moment. Otherwise, you lose it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So just to round up on all of that, I always say it's either you have time or money. So you can take the time, like I tried to do the first time, go on kdp.amazon.com, sign up for an account, make all the mistakes, struggle with the tax, struggle with the payments, go through all of the things, go on YouTube and let the Americans tell you how to do it, but know that it's different for Africans when you're trying to do that. Or you go and pay for the knowledge, or you pay somebody to do it for you. Like, for example, I have high net worth individuals who do not even have that time to even like meet me and now sit down and be coaching them. They just take my money,
just go
do it for me, and just let me tell me when it's done, and that's it. Or there are other people who probably don't have as much money to be able to afford me doing it for them. I created a series of video walkthroughs that teach you how to sign up for the KDP, how to set up a Payoneer account if you're African so that you can collect your money, how to go through the tax issues if you're African so that you don't have issues, how to publish a book, how to publish a workbook, how to market on Amazon, so on and so forth. And it's on my academy. I think what I would just do, it's not very cheap, but what I would do for if Edewor allows me to put it out, it's not going to be free, obviously.
Aww.
But it's 60,000 naira. I don't know what the equivalent is in nairas or dollars or shillings or dirhams. 60,000 naira, but I'm going to do like a 50K off.
Wow.
Wow.
For who wants to get it.
Now you have to go write that book.
You better go do it now. No excuses.
Now.
So just use I'll give a coupon code. I think we'll just use TB Summit. All caps as a coupon to go. The Edewor will probably share the link later on the Telegram or so to get it.
Yes, I'll share the Telegram. I'll also share into your email. So please look out for it. You have a special code to visit Edirin's Academy online and get a course for you to go through how to publish on Amazon. And she has fantastic, she has some frequencies that you need to go and look at. Hey God, you see, if you have any product online, I want to publish. I want to give it out there. She has like a particular step-by-step thing that you need to. It's one of the
free ones. I think I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the strategies I use for this becoming summit, really, in publicizing it. And it worked. So there you go. You have discount 50,000 off. So they're paying 10K.
Edirin wants to collect the remaining.
Wow. That's wow.
Edirin wants to collect the remaining. That's what she wants.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in. Somebody says, when writing a book, how do you deal with managing other people's story that are tied to your story and they are a major part of it? Hey, I get what this person is saying.
Yeah. I can get this one. Yeah. Because this thing is the reason why a lot of people don't even write at all, because they're like, so even in my fictional book, right, my 14 stories, there were a lot of elements of reality. Either a story that I've heard that kind of sparked off, a fictional story, or even my own story. In the book, one of the stories is about myself and my husband dealing with having an autistic child. My first child is autistic. And if I were going to write a memoir about that, I'm a little bit still too raw, still in the midst of it, to be able to write a 100 or 200 page book. But I wanted to say our journey so far. Of course, it's going to be a very long one. But of course, there are people who were engaged with that maybe didn't do the best things in the process, and you don't really want to mention them. That's why fiction, I'm telling you hands down. And you can even say, like, this is truth with a dash of, fiction. You can call them by another name. If they were a woman, you can make them a man. So it's still your memoir, right? It's still your memoir. You can still have some license with that. What you're trying to communicate, like Fauza said, is that there's a purpose to you telling this thing. And if that purpose can be achieved without you exposing all the characters, because it's your story. Somebody else, whether they're the villain or whatever they are, they're not going to come and own your story. They're not going to take that power from you. So that's one thing that I would say. But regardless, like Chris Tucker, he's also Tucker. His name is Tucker, though. Scribe Media. If you're looking to get free courses, please Google that. You'll find a lot about writing, about publishing, about launching. He would always say that, first of all, write it all out. Before you even decide who to take out, whose story to change, your pen and your paper, your laptop, everything is yours. It's not out there in the world yet. So don't let it stop you from writing it. When you finish, then you can begin to have that editorial license to see what you want to change out or what part you want to leave out that don't necessarily convey the message of it.
Yes. I'll just like to write on what Brian has just said, and that's because even in God's own, the fiction novel that I just put out, there are some elements of real situations, real people situations in there. But because they haven't given the license for their own story to be put out, what we just did was storifying it, changing some things. Like she said, if it was a man, change it to a woman. If they were in a particular sector, change the sector. Just, change some things. And so I would say the book it's fiction, right? It's creative and imaginative writing. And then, of course, that part where they say any semblance to real people, real places, and all that is simply fictional and all that. But the point is, you're trying to push out a particular message and not necessarily demean someone. And the reason you have to put it out the way it sort of happened is because there might be people going through that sort of situation. And they need to know that they are not crazy. They need to be sure that I'm not imagining things. It's so important so that they are able to take their lessons. I know how many people, in fact, I keep saying that when people reach out to me for reviews of this book, I feel two ways. It's either I'm smiling because they're all feeling all girlish because of, all the girl stories and all that. And then there are those saying things they have never said to anyone before. It's coming from a deep place because they saw themselves in those characters. So that story is going to help someone, but remember that it's because you're using it to help someone and not necessarily demean some other person. So focus on the real goal.
Yes.
Once you can focus on the goal, it makes it easy to do any necessary adjustments.
Yeah, I think I just want to.
I love it, and I also think it also boils down to being your authentic self as well. Yeah, go on, please, Frances.
Yeah, I was going to
say, Frances, go on.
Totally, yeah. So I was also just going to add, and particularly after, Fauza spoke so eloquently, that overcoming that fear of speaking out, whether it's a public space, whether it's a private conversation, and just owning your story and owning your voice. One of the ways to remember, to give you the courage to do that, is always to remember it's not just for you. It's for other people. So the fear of overcoming something, we can do it so much more when we think it's for someone else. When we think it's for us, sometimes we feel we're not worthy or we feel we don't deserve it. When we remember it's not for us, it's for other people, that's the purpose. That will give us the confidence and the courage to speak up. So I think the whole issue of finding your voice, telling your truth, if you try and frame it in your mind as this isn't for me, this is for other people, I think you'll find that confidence.
And what is your why?
Fantastic. Wow.
What's your why? Why do you want to go into that journey?
Yes.
You only want to do it to be among the few of being called an author? Because to be honest with you, writing these books, unless you become a bestseller, you can't just depend on it. So you really have to be honest with yourself. Why am I gonna do this? What is my why? And the other thing, because for me, I tell the tale. I say it as it is. And the reason why I say that, I love what my darling there said, that, it's not about me, and you find yourself in this story because of someone else's story. And then you become, I always say that I'm not the sin, I am the product of the sin. Because I wasn't there, you see. So I'm the product. So I'm talking on my side of the story. And that doesn't mean that I'm being rude. No, because these things have happened, They have. I've been told. So if I have been told that they have happened, how do you feel now? So when you write on your own perspective. And the truth is, some people will resonate and some people, they will not. But I have to be honest, for me, the healing that you will have after this, and sometimes it doesn't need to be on Amazon. Just do it for yourself. Write it, do it for you. It's healing. It's therapeutical.
It's just like the word, writing is therapeutical. In fact, Woof. So we have our time is fast spent, and this is what I want to leave with you all. I know you still have questions and all of those things. So this is what I'm going to do for us, for everybody who is on this call right now, and those who have been left, you can send this message to them. I would also put this message out. Is that one of the reasons, one of the fundamental reasons why, the Becoming Summit, why I do whatever it is that I do, is also to just share these powerful stories, right? And I've noticed here, even in the comment section now, that there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions. And so what I would like to do, I'm just putting this out here, even to my speakers here, that I would like for us to, carve out a time where we're going to have like a webinar for each of you separately, where people can then come to ask their questions. Guys, I cannot promise that these webinars are going to be totally free, because sometimes when you don't pay attention. But I'm going to...
Can I say amen? And they will come late.
But I'm going to talk to our speakers here, and I'm going to, work with them to see how we can arrange for a separate webinar, which is going to be just one of, for each of the speakers that we have all through the summit, for any one of them who would like to share. They have their specific messages. They have their specific programs. They have their specific resources. But I know you also have questions and you might not be sure, like, okay, who do I go with? All the speakers that have been on the Becoming Summit, they are so amazing. Which one do I follow? I know that space. I've been there, right? So what I'm going to do for you is to help you make that decision. But I know that you might need 1 or 2 or 3 of these speakers to actually work together with them or lay your hands on their resources to be able to get the value that you need. And tell me, I am a product of communities. I am a product of networking. I am a product of serving. I've served my way up to where I am today, and I'm going to keep serving. So this is my way of serving you as well, to say every speaker that has come up for the Becoming Summit, I just look out for me. If you don't follow me yet on my Instagram page or subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that, because after this summit, before the next summit, this summit is going to be a quarterly thing now. Praise God. It's amazing.
Hey, hallelujah.
But before the next summit, I'm going to be having these webinars with each of these speakers so that you can have one up-close personal time with each of them to be able to ask all your questions and lay your hands on their resources to be able to, you need it. You need it. This summit is just a way to sow a seed, to tell you these are some of the things you need. And like Ugochi says, there is an energy in the house. And if you don't tap into it, we have tried our best. So, but I don't want to hold you here any longer. And I don't want to hold my speakers here any longer, because Frances has been up 9 a.m. UK time. She needs to sleep. She needs to catch up on her sleep. Bralade has been up 4:30 a.m. 4 a.m. She needs to catch up on her sleep. It's a Saturday. It's a time to chill for a lot of people. And my guest here needs to go on to other things. I love you guys. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for asking your questions. But look out for the webinars, right? So that look out for the person that has, spoken to you more, so that when the webinar is live, you can join that webinar and be a part of it, and you're able to ask all your questions. And that time is money. Let us stop looking for free things all the time. This is the best that we can do to give you a taste of what we are capable of doing, okay? So when the webinars come, they might not be totally free, but they would not be outrageously expensive, because I know these women you're seeing here on your screen, they're not doing this for the money. They're doing it because God has called them to. They're doing it to better the society. They're doing it to help the other women who are still struggling on the ground. But sometimes, like I said, if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. And when you pay and you pay attention and you put in that thing that you have learned, then your story is the one that we're going to be sharing next. And who knows, 2-3 Becoming Summit from now, I want to have you on the screen as well, to say you were at the maiden edition of the Becoming Summit, and today you are here to share your own story or to teach people who are going to be attending. So thank you for making day 2 of the Becoming Summit an amazing one. I love you. My dear speaker, I don't know how to say thank you to you. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, in the comment section, can you please just say thank you so much to all this amazing, beautiful, wonderful, lovely, high-ranking women? Like, I don't know what I did to deserve this attention, to deserve your yes, but I am grateful to you. Thank you for making my dream a reality and for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much. Guys, we say thank you.
Opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
It's because of your
to meet all
heart.
of you.
It's because of your heart, EJ. Your heart is beautiful. I'm grateful that we have been able to do this together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. This is it for day 2. Please, if you know anyone who missed out on day 1 and day 2, go and invite them, because tomorrow is the grand finale and we're talking about tech. You know that all of these things that you heard, the writing, it has tech in it too. And all these women you are seeing now, they are tech savvy. So you can't even thrive again in this season and say, I don't like tech. Even Bralade is saying, I'm not social media. She's an engineer. She's an engineer, so you don't.
It's that thing Edirin said, time and money. You need to put your time, pick one.
So please call your friends, tell them to be here tomorrow. We're going to be talking about fintech. We're going to be talking about digital tools. So some of the tools that you need to use to become boom, boom, boom. Don't miss it. I love you. Thank you so much.
I like that go. I like that go.
But join the Telegram group. That's something I would say if you want to keep
yes.
Exactly.
Thank you, sis, for mentioning that. Yes, if you didn't sign up for this, maybe you just saw the page you saw the live stream on Facebook or on YouTube. Somebody sent to you. You should go back to the link. Is still up. The registration link is still up for the TB Summit. Go register so that you can join the Telegram group. That's where we'll be sending information. Even when the webinar is going to go live, that's one of the places we're going to be sharing those information. So you want to be on the Telegram channel. That's the Telegram channel for the Becoming Summit till God says, okay, Edewor, it's time to move on to something else. Okay? So join us.
Edewor, one final question. If you're going to write your book this year, put it in the chat. Say, I'm writing this year. Just make yourself that commitment in the chat first before.
Can you say when you say that I will be your accountability partner, because sometimes people need a push, and I am good on pushing the button.
Same here.
So who's writing?
Brenda says writing this year.
Brenda, I think I have Brenda's number. I'll text her every day.
Brenda, you have committed.
I love you, Brenda.
Thank you. Yeah, Lillian says I'm writing. Ijoma says I'm writing. Wow, we have so many writers here. Fantastic.
We need our own Africa something for authors.
You know what's up?
You know.
African Author Summit is coming up very soon.
Absolutely.
Open.
EJ. Thank you.
I love it. I'm becoming an author this year. Yes. Please use the hashtag I am becoming, hashtag the TB Summit. Please tag me in your post on Instagram stories so that I can reshare. Tag all our authors here from all the things that you've heard them say. Tag them so that they can also reshare, and then invite your friends to be 3 tomorrow. Thank you. Like, I don't know how to take thank you again. No, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. All right, see you guys tomorrow.
I love you so much, Sissy.
Love you too.
Take care. Thank you, Edewor. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
You too.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. God bless you.